Teague floats one off the window, score it, plus the foul.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
A little nickel dimer in the lane, and it goes.
Yes, the basket counts.
Teague.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Teague was waiting for it to develop. Wasn't there. Now challenges. Puts it up. Oh, what a shot. Up and under Timmy.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
I look around this room and I don't see a bunch of throwaway orphans like everyone else does. I see fighters.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Friday afternoon, and immediate transparency. This is my voice for now. As some of you know, back in early January, I developed COVID, strep throat, the whole, and I came back probably a little bit early, not because I was sick, and damaged my vocal cords. And I've been coughing for a month. So today, first night, I didn't have any coffee. Went to make a phone call, and this is who I've been since this morning. So I'm going to be a traffic cop as much as I can and let you boys, young men, do most of the talking because you're the ones who have the intelligence anyway. The college football playoff expansion. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, Emery's here. Faith is in the studio, our newest intern. Great to have you. Volleyball and at Baylor University and also Armstrong Sims. So the college football playoff, 2 days ago or a day ago was the Alliance, where they kind of shot that to hell. The college football playoff, at least expansion for the next 4 years, is now dead.
Well,
next 4 years.
Yeah, Bill Hancock released a statement today saying what we already basically knew, and that this wasn't going to happen until 2026 at the earliest, why they didn't just say this in January, I don't know, because I guess you get us talking about it again, but the Alliance, all these things that happened, and there are good points on either side of the argument, whether to do it now or wait till later. The best part of the argument to me, Craig, is that at least they'll have all their ducks in the row of who's going to be in what conference for that term and whatnot. But in the short term, people are starting to get tired of the college football playoff. And for 4 years, you might be cutting off your nose to spite your face, and people may become more disinterested before you expand it.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's like all the people who stopped watching the NFL who really didn't stop watching the NFL, like threatened to, I don't like college football anymore because the playoff, I'm not going to watch anymore. And then 4 years from now, they'll be right there. There's that. There's also the risk that maybe some people do become disenchanted and decide, we're not as interested. I mean, if you look at numbers, I don't think college football's got any alarms really ringing right now, but they could be in that neighborhood if they're not careful with the way the next couple of years go. And I do think there is some fatigue when it comes to the 14 playoff and seeing the same teams in there every single year. I don't know how there couldn't be. We got Patriots fatigue, didn't we? And, I think everybody's got a little bit of, whatever it is, the same 5, 6, 7 teams that have basically composed the playoff for the majority of it. There's probably a little bit of tired head over that. I know there is for me. I mean, I think it was kind of ridiculous we were having to debate Cincinnati as much as we were, whereas in an 18 playoff, it's just like they're in. Like, there's no hand-wringing. There's no, oh, my gosh, do they have enough to prove? Or what about, no, they just be in, and there wouldn't be any question about it. That seems much simpler and much more fun and much better for everybody involved. But for some reason, no, we want to do it just this 4-team, and we want to keep it this way, and that's what it's going to be for the foreseeable future. So we'll see how it works out. It'll be a lot of the same folks probably involved. Maybe there's a little bit of a shakeup, but you're right. There's time to get their ducks in a row, and yet we're talking about the same people who have years to get all their ducks in a row over every topic, and they never do for anything. So they had time to get their ducks in a row over NIL. They had time to get their ducks in a row over any number of topics, and they never seem to have it ready to go when the time comes. So I'll believe they'll have their ducks in a row for this new playoff ready to go in 4 years, wherever we are then. And then I'll also have a part of me that believes that they'll still be like, well, I don't know what we want to do because we've only, because that's what they do with everything. So not surprised, but a little bit disappointed because I do think it opens up a whole new world for college football having an expanded playoff. But I do understand those that like the 4-team format.
Well, and look, Ross Dellinger, I'm trying to save your voice here, Smokey.
You know what? That's the sweetest thing you've ever done.
Yeah. But quotes from Greg Sankey right near now. Does this mean that to Sankey, the SEC commissioner, that the league now has to rethink its position on CFP expansion and that they may no longer support the 12-team playoff? It could, yeah. Part of the collaboration is we have to give, adjust, be willing to step out. The president's provided a clear message. This is important. Get back together and get it done. Yet when we gathered, there was no alteration of position, and so here we are.
For all the clamor about wanting to think about student athletes, there are 1,000 students athletes each year on 8 teams who could have participated in the playoff. On the other hand, we didn't need more teams. Sankey goes, if that's the definition of mixed signals, I don't know what definition might be. So, and again, you go to Greg Sankey because the SEC runs this thing. We know they do, right? And they should. They have more national titles in the last 12 to 15 or 20 years. They're getting 2 people in now. They're going to get 5 or 6 in if they go to 12. So either way, they're going to always control the turf war or monopoly board.
Well, and that's why people don't need to look. Don't live in fear of the SEC and if they're going to control it. Look, they're knocking you around right now. Okay, the only chance that you have to knock back is to expand, is to try to give your universities and these other teams more opportunity. It's the only chance you've got. Otherwise, it's kind of like, Amazon is so big right now because nobody pushed back when they could have. Okay, that's why they're growing at the rate that they are. So now people kind of want to be like, well, we should have supported small business. Well, tell that to the guy who works in the Amazon warehouse right now because he had to close up his shop. It's the same thing that's going to go on with these other conferences if they don't just go, well, we could be this, it could be this much better for us. No, the 12-team playoff, it's what's better for the whole of college football, not just the SEC, not just the Big Ten, not just the Big 12, not just Conference USA or whoever. It's what's better for all of them. And the fact that they don't see that is insane to me.
Oh, I think some of them see it. I think some of them don't care. I don't think the SEC, Paul, cares about any other conference. They didn't. They were fine to let the Big 12 just bleed out months ago. Yeah. And we're supposed to care about what they have to say or believe what they have to say or think that they have our best interest in mind for the Big 12. Tried to kill us.
Yeah.
Like a dude tried to murder you in the dark of night, and then you caught him and you stopped it. And they turn around and try to be friends all of a sudden? Like, no, I don't trust you for anything in the world. So if I'm the Big 12, I'm taking everything that anybody from the SEC says or the little alliance that was all, pretend that's going to be this and really it was this the whole time. Really, it's just the anti-SEC board, basically, is what they are. They're just there to counteract the SEC in so many ways. Yeah, I don't believe anything they have to say either. If I'm the Big 12, I'm feeling like I'm on a little bit of a lonely island with a lot of the other conferences because I know the SEC doesn't care about me and what happens to my teams. They got the 2 teams from me they wanted. And they did it behind the scenes and just snuck around and got it done. And so I'm certainly not going to believe anything they have to say. I know the Big 10 doesn't care about me. I know the Pac-12 doesn't care about me. I know the ACC.
But does anyone care about the Pac-12? Are they the Big 12?
No, I don't think anybody really does. That's why they got very fortunate with this little alliance thing. That's the only thing.
Which is now all.
Which we all see through now is like being what it is, which is really nothing at all. Because the only interesting part of it, quite frankly, for anybody that's like an executive is the scheduling portion of it or that kind of stuff. None of us care about the legislation side of it, quite frankly, although that does come into play here with the playoff talk. But no, nobody cares about the Pac-12. I saw a Pac-12 guy actually try to take a shot at the Big 12, and the responses this guy got, just an avalanche of people like, really, Pac-12 guys talking crap? Like, really? Like, y'all are the lowest on the totem pole. I don't think there's any question right now they are the lowest on the totem pole. Now, maybe USC gets hot and that flips or something in the next couple of years. But, no, I don't think anybody cares what they have to say. I think they're just a pawn.
Well,
I think
they
they're
wouldn't have gotten picked.
I think they're a pawn that's going along with what the other two, if they feel like they have some power, but they really don't. The power lies in the hands of the Big Ten more than anything in that little alliance. So, it's a weird deal. I think you look around and you don't know who to trust and you don't know who has your best interest in mind, and you just got to worry about yourself. And quite frankly, why has the SEC been so successful? Because they've only worried about themselves. They've worried about themselves and their brand and promoting it and growing it and developing it, and look at where they are now. Dude, we were not talking about them like this 25 years ago.
Not even 20.
Not even 20 years ago. This has literally been like a 20-year thing that all of a sudden we talk about them like they're God's gift to carry out every step that the SEC took to turn into what they turned into. And you're not going to be able to do that and fill out the same type of a conference. But I'm trying to follow that footprint because it worked really well. They were ahead of the game, and you got to give them, no matter how much tired head you might get about hearing about their greatness, the way Greg Sankey set them up to where they are right now is one of the greatest sports executive jobs of all time. Because if you really look back at it, they were just a conference.
Mike Slive initially.
Slive, excuse me, yes. Slive with the hard, heavy lifting, and then Sankey as well after that. But it's an extreme makeover.
Okay.
It was incredible. And I don't know how any other conference can ever replicate that or duplicate that. But they worried about themselves and then put themselves in this position, and that's what the Big 12 is going to have to do as well.
And the Big 12 worried about each other, not everybody else. We know why the Big 12 has had trouble. They've had logos. Hell, they've had 3 or 4 or 5 of them. But one of the things about what the SEC did that the new Big 12 can do, even if they don't have an Alabama, even if there's not a Texas and Oklahoma at some point, even if there's not a Florida, what did the SEC say about Vanderbilt, about South Carolina, about anybody that was a part of the Mississippi State? What did all the big boys think of them?
I mean,
they're as important as we are. We're as powerful and strong as our weakest link.
Yeah, well, and they
am I right?
Yeah, there's no infighting the SEC. Or
why can't the Big 12, the new Big 12, do that?
Or if there is, okay, we could have an argument right here that, like, the Big 12. If we were when we were a Big 12 show, we could have a very public argument about who's more important to anything on this show, and then very publicly be put in our places over who does what.
Sure,
but if we want to do it the SEC way, what we do is like, hey, we're going to go to commercial break and we're going to have a fight, and then at the commercial break, you're not going to know what we thought about.
No.
That's what they do. They keep it all in-house, and yeah, they did move ahead for themselves. I think, and I agree with Bob Bowlesby, though, Craig, when he said, is this 12-team proposal the best for the Big 12? Probably not overall, but it's the best for all of college football, and that's what I wish that they would see. They're not going to, and so you're probably right. The Big 12 just needs to forge ahead, copy the SEC model, and let the chips fall where they may.
And they're not going to be able to, they don't have the brands to turn into that necessarily, but a version of their own version of that, and you're right, it should be all about everybody and how but I don't think Greg Sankey, for example, cares if Conference USA falls off the earth. I really don't think he cares. I don't know if other conferences care either. So long as what is in their purview is fine, they don't really care about the outside. And you do have to worry about, what's closest to you and who you're working for and all of that. But I would love for it to be where you think everybody's working together. But every single thing we see in college football tells me that that's not the case.
No.
So I'm at the point now where, it's fun to hold hands and be friends, but at some point you got to cut bait. And I feel like everybody's got to look out for their own best interest. That's what Texas and Oklahoma did, isn't it?
Yep, and they will, of course, now meet a different type path once they're, even now, when they're having their talks with the SEC. And others will put them in their place at times, but and we've had this discussion, Texas and OU, they're going to find their turf to gobble up at times. There's going to be, just like all the other ones, but it's an hellacious conference without Texas and OU, and now it's just going to be better.
The sad irony in all of this is if Texas and OU had embraced particularly Texas, especially Texas, but not to leave OU out in this, but Texas has been kind of more of a serial offender in this. Had both those schools embraced the SEC way of doing things from the moment the Big 12 was founded, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Missouri, and Colorado would still be in the league.
And I think all the other ones would not go through so many ups and downs.
They just said, look, okay, here's how the SEC does it. And part of it was, A&M didn't necessarily, like all these cultural history things, A&M didn't necessarily want to be in the Big 12. They wanted to be in the SEC like Arkansas from the beginning. So they begrudgingly went in because, of Ann Richards and Bob Bullock kind of made that political move. And then Nebraska and Texas started fighting essentially like
before they even started.
After the reception.
They were already undermining before they even joined.
And so it was dead on arrival, and people just didn't really realize it. But
we will hear from Maceo Teague, former Baylor guard with the Salt Lake City Stars in the G League. He'll join us at 3:30 today. Also, Grayson Grundhafer on recruiting at 3:45. Nikki Collin, Baylor women's head basketball coach, live with us today at 4:30. Jim Dent, author and writer. My goodness, all the things he can talk about, and he will, with us at 5 o'clock. Paul has his top 5 as well. And we might get a Baylor assistant around 4 today, waiting from that. Now, Armstrong, that's the college football playoff. YouTube 365 Sports chat rooms blowing up on that. Text line 254-339-1122. Armstrong, the 2 tweets that I sent you, one of them from Brian Davis, who covers the University of Texas. Texas officials confirmed there are no public tickets available for Saturday's game versus Tech. Remaining seats have been promised to UT students who have big ticket athletic pass. On StubHub, prices range from $115 to $1,200 plus money dollars. Why did they stop selling public tickets?
Because Texas Tech had cornered the market.
And we're going to get more, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is from, and again, this is a guy who is a Texas Tech fan. Viva the Matadors. He's no different than Frogs of War or whoever for a school that they cover. The ticket situation with UT, Texas, is an all-time embarrassing moment for them. An unprepared AD, an unprepared ticket office, a scared head coach could only come up with the idea of just not selling tickets. Anyways, if you're going to bring it for everyone, if you're going to bring it for everyone who got shut out. So these, we thought maybe there was a little bit of truce after the game in Lubbock. It's just like going to be just maybe as bad. And I don't know how many Texas fans will be there. I have no idea how many Texas Tech fans get in. But these 2 schools, man, have they brought a lot of drama to the Big 12 in men's basketball. And because of the move by Chris Beard, and some just never will be able to get over it, and some really don't care.
You know damn well the guy who tweeted that, if he actually had to say that in front of like Del Conte or Beard, would be peeing down his leg, right?
Like the guy
These fan accounts talk so much trash.
Yep.
And the anonymity is hilarious. But take your shots while you can take your shots, I guess. And they are, ticket hounds and will find their way to get hands on tickets. So, maybe Texas should have had a little bit more preparedness or more of a plan. Certainly they've had at least 2 weeks to know that this was going to be a crazy ticket situation. So, we'll see what kind of crowd there is tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to be electric, just a question of how much red and black gets intermingled with the burnt orange. But should be a hell of a game, and looking forward to seeing them tangle one more time.
Yeah, hell hath no fury like a Red Raider fan base scorned, apparently. I mean,
they are.
Chris Beard.
I'm going to tell you this.
When are they not?
Yeah.
They're I went back and forth. Last night I got an alert about one of our YouTube segments about it, starting the show. And they're fired up. I mean, Texas Tech men's basketball fans are absolutely frothing at the mouth. And don't think that the great start didn't help, but they lost a couple of games early. But then beating Baylor in Waco, beating Kansas soon after that at home, they have every right to feel good about themselves. Now, what I do see is they're passionate. They're on fire. They embrace. They did this, 2-3 years ago. But I went on there last night on the YouTube channel, and I know you guys hate it when I do this, but one guy goes, bye, Baylor. They're not going anywhere. They didn't cancel their season. Texas Tech, they are defending national champions, Baylor. But right now, Texas Tech's men's basketball team is better. And there was a few of you trying to throw some shade because we didn't break down what Tech did better well enough. And so I had to settle some of that down. We are still going to cover the living hell out of the Big 12. And we've had Texas Tech writers, analysts, Joey McGuire, and we're not done. So don't just listen to 2 minutes or 5 minutes of what we do when we're on for 3 hours, 5 days a week, and then give us your opinion on what we do on this show. So I'll go with you all night long on these chat rooms and stuff like that, just to clarify. And so I wanted to get that out there today. Fran Brown and Frank Ocam, new residences. Fran Brown, former Baylor assistant coach, went to, Rutgers?
Temple,
then Rutgers.
Yeah.
He's going to Georgia as their secondary coach.
Oh, good for Fran.
He was the secondary coach, so that's lateral based on position, but he's going to Georgia.
Well, yeah, it's an upgrade from Rutgers. But I know Georgia lost theirs to Miami, right? He went with Mario Cristobal, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so
and Frank Ocam, former Texas star, coached at Rice, then Baylor, then went to the Carolina Panthers with Matt Rule. He's been hired by the Raiders as their defensive line coach.
Yeah, that's good for Fran Brown. I thought he'd be, a DC or something at this point. It's been a little while since he left Waco. He was not here very long, very short stint, so didn't really feel like he ever. He was very popular in his short amount of time, but don't feel like he ever really planted any roots here, if that makes sense. Frank Ocam a little more so, but obviously when Rule took the Panthers job, he got an opportunity with Carolina as well, and as a young coach, I mean, you can't fault him for wanting to go with the guys who have kind of been grooming him and also take that leap to the NFL. But now past changing and good for Fran. That's defending national champs. It's a big deal to get hired as one of their main assistant coaches, and for Ocam to stay in the NFL and to have like a big position coach job in an up-and-coming team like the Raiders, who have a lot of excitement going right now in Las Vegas. Good for both those guys. That's awesome.
It's going to be great, and I'm happy for both. Both of them good people, too, Frank Ocam and also Fran Brown as well. Paul, how much of that Happy Jack or whatever you were talking about on Twitter did you have today?
I didn't have any. I mean, here's the thing. If I had tried to go over there and get it based on my schedule today, I would have missed it. It's sold out in about an hour and 30 minutes.
Happy Dad.
Happy Dad.
It's a Riverbend
seltzer.
Liquor, one of our sponsors.
Yeah. Well, it was at Riverbend Liquor. It's gone now, all 100 cases. But, and we'll talk about it in a second. But, yeah, Steve Chapman sent me a text at 1:30 and goes, it's gone. It's all gone.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, Happy Dad, the owner's there today, and did it. So, yeah, they're out.
I want to bring up one more sponsor. We do have Maceo Teague at 3:30. Marco's Pizza. Bob Mock, we both had a conversation from earlier today. He's about to do something for our station with their pizza boxes. So I wanted to say thanks to Bob. Colt's working on something. Thanks to Bob Mock, who cares and loves. Not only are we publicizing what they do, our pizza, our exclusive pizza sponsor here of the Sikkim 365 studio, but also the fact that he wanted to help give back to us, not just by, advertising, but by helping us out as well. All right, one more. Did you see what happened at the end of the Oral Roberts South Dakota State game?
No.
Did you? Armstrong, I sent that to you. It's a video. Now, it's a little bit long. It's a couple of minutes. And Armstrong, if you want, go ahead and put about 40 seconds into it if you can do that. Maybe 30 seconds. So South Dakota State is unbeaten in the conference. And they smoked Oral Roberts. No, I guess you do have to start at the beginning because it's part of a play. I'm sorry, guys. But when you're ready, go ahead. Okay, so this is the end of the game. Oral Roberts is pressing. Okay, here comes the dunk. Didn't count. Time was out. Now, go about 20 seconds or so, Armstrong, if you could jump ahead. So they get in line. Paul Mills is the head coach at Oral Roberts. And then it starts to get a little bit like they don't have everything on camera here, but watch what starts to happen.
I think some interesting words being exchanged here between Paul Mills and Dave Richmond. Mills not happy there how the end of the game, and now some pushing and shoving.
That's ridiculous. And here's what I will say.
Getting out of hand here, and we've got a Donnybrook here unfolding right here half court.
Coaches have got to get this under control.
I'm going to talk over it for a second. It lingers for a little bit, pushing and shoving. Normally you see that. But the player gets back again, and this happens. We've seen this in the NBA. But he eventually, and there's some taunting from South Dakota State, yapping. No.
It's North Dakota State.
Okay, I'm sorry. And there's some taunting, yapping. Eventually, the player from Oral Roberts gets up with a bloody lip. Now, I don't know if he took a cheap shot and or by his players and coaches trying to get him under control if he took an elbow or something like that. But that's a bad situation. He's on the ground only because they just eventually just stopped him. But he has a bloody lip. And you would think that there probably will be not just reprimands, but there could be something else. And they'll go get other video if in fact there was anything that caused the bloody lip other than an elbow during the fracas.
Well, I think it probably happened when he got taken to the ground there.
Yeah. So, and Paul Mills, he's a fiery guy, former Baylor coach. He probably later on loved that he's fighting for his team. You're pressing at the end of the game, and you give away a turnover and a dunk. I mean, maybe you don't dunk. I don't know. Maybe you do. But that could have been the malice at the palace. That could have carried into the stands, could have been like true punches, and thank God it was only that. What that even then was a little bit way too much.
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised to see Paul Mills get – I mean, I know he's fiery, but that heated. But again, sometimes you get beat like you do, and then somebody goes and dunks it as time expires. I mean, that's just kicking off a pattern.
Someone put up a video on the premium section that back A&M and Baylor back like 2006 or 7, A&M was beating up on Baylor, and they had to break a Sloan.
Yeah.
Threw it against the backboard and jammed it.
Well, I mean,
he later on
also, who was it that got into it with Lomers? Pulled his leg down.
Yeah. It's not the first time, but that could have been so much better.
Jones, he's a tall guy. Jones was his name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was, I think, Donald Sloan from Texas A&M who threw it against the backboard and also slammed it as well. All right. So Maceo T, Grayson Grunhafer, maybe a Baylor assistant. Nikki Collin live. Well, what a turnaround. 10 of the last 11 or 11 of the last 12. Tied now at the top of the Big 12 standings. Jim Dent. You will want to hear from him, because we do. Also, one note from Steven to take a break. Time for the new Big 12 to be the new Big 12. What has happened in the past is in the past. Move forward. Forget about the former members. Move forward with positivity. Embrace what can be. I agree. Why not try to use the roadmap of other conferences, whether you have big-time logos or not? Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. You heard Smokey talking about the Happy Dad promotion they had today. Line around the building. All the people, they were sold out of 100 cases of Happy Dad hard seltzer in an hour. That's how popular it is. And it was the only place in Waco that you could have gotten it, well, until about 1:30 this afternoon. All gone, all there. The owners of Happy Dad were at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. These are the things that Riverbend Liquor and Wine does. They're going to do things outside the box, outside the norm. They're going to get brands in there that you want, that are in demand. They have the latest of everything. So whether it's hard seltzer or bourbon or craft beer, they've got it at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. That you can see on their Instagram page, all the Happy Dad stuff today. It's really cool. But look, if you're looking for something, be it a wine, a vodka, a gin, a whiskey, whatever it is, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, they've got answers. They've got what you need. They've got all new and different products all the time. They're constantly rotating the beers. They're constantly rotating the seltzers. They're constantly rotating the whiskeys, all those different things. They've got great product coming through there all of the time at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And they were, they'll get some more in, but not today. They're out of Happy Dad, sold out of 100 cases in about an hour and a half at Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's Tasty Oak Smoked Barbecue.
Next in line.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Save big during the President's Day sales event at Allen Samuels. The new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L has total values of $2,000. For all first responders, get an extra $500. Shop the new car inventory for power, performance, style, and reliability today from their huge new car and truck inventory only at Allen Samuels in Waco. Now's the time to drive the amazing Jeep Grand Cherokee L you want.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
How about that old school up and under scoop by Macy O.T. He is red hot today.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com.
Baylor tomorrow will host TCU. Still in contention for a Big 12 championship in the regular season, but obviously that the destiny, they don't control that. They have Kansas coming down the road, but the loss Wednesday put them behind the 8 ball, and they weren't in the lead anyway. They won it last year, and they won the national championship, and they had a special team, and this year's team is good. Maceo Teague joins us from the 2021 Baylor National Championship team on Sikkim 365 Radio, now a part of the Salt Lake City Stars. Man, we miss your face, man. We miss your smile, your demeanor, your personality. How are you doing right now?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Just glad to. I'm happy to be on the show. I'm glad you guys are having me, man. I thank you.
All right. So, how has been your start? I think 17 games is how many games you have played. I know it hasn't been a good wins and losses. That might be part of the question. But how do you feel right now about your game?
I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I'm averaging a decent amount, 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. So I'm playing a good amount, a different role, and it's a different environment. And it's been a learning period, and just trying to get adjusted to the professional life.
How much do you feel your game has grown each year since you transferred, sat out, played when you did with Baylor? How do you feel? Can you see those gains year after year?
Yeah, for sure. I can see that when I first got to Baylor, I learned how to score better off one-on-one, playing Davion every day. That really helped me out a lot in the redshirt year. Then I feel like I've progressively learned how to play off the ball as well, because I was more on the ball when I was at Asheville. And then since I've been a pro, getting back on the ball and making the ball screen reads, because I didn't really have to do a lot of the reads at Asheville. So now I've been learning to make ball screen reads and run the offense, run the pick and roll.
What's been the most eye-opening part of being a professional basketball player?
The fact that it's such a business. Like, we've had guys on the team who were there for 2 days and literally got cut And just the fact that guys are getting shipped in and shipped out so frequently, just trying to build a roster and build the right team around the coaching staff and around the organization, that it's such a business that it's kind of different than coming from college.
Is there like a constant anxiety because there's so much uncertainty?
Not for me. I mean, I try to go at it as control what you can control. Like, I can't control whether I'm getting cut. Like, sure, I can play as good as I can play, but at the end of the day, if a team doesn't like you, if somebody comes in and says they don't like you, then you're going to get shipped out. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference. And I wouldn't say I'm uncertain about anything because it's all in God's control.
Maceo, you played football when you were pretty young, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You played football when you were 7 years old. In fact, you played quarterback and you were pretty good in picking up plays. Do you remember like the first start of your football career and how quickly you were able to pick up plays at 7 years old at quarterback?
Yeah, I remember I learned all the plays pretty fast. Like I was comfortable doing everything out there except going under the center. You got to stick your hands pretty low down there. And I remember when I first started, my coach like forced me, like he would put my hands all the way down there because I would drop the snap. I would drop it 50% of the time because I wouldn't put my hands all the way down there. But just getting comfortable with that. But I was really good at quarterback. I was actually really good at football going up to middle school, but I just love basketball so much. And I actually hated football, so I stopped playing. But I was pretty good though.
Well, that is always the weirdest adjustment if you're taking snaps at quarterback. You don't quite understand until you're shown. Like, no, get in there.
Look, I'll tell you, as a guy who tried to play center, it's not any.
Oh my Lord! Imagine it was. And I have to ask this: so you're playing in the middle of the heat of the summer or practice or whatever? That's even worse, right? To put your hands underneath the center.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You watch quarterbacks nowadays. You watch a quarterback in the NFL, you always see them licking their fingers. So, hey, it's a little weird, man. Before that quarterback spot gets a little weird.
Oh, my Maceo Teague with us. Sick of 365 Radio.
See, I told our interns thought I was going to ask you about the college football playoff today because I was describing something. Like, why would you ask D? I said, he's got opinions on things. But Maceo, you were part of our documentary, Ode to Joy, which I don't know. Have you been able to see it yet? Have they sent you a copy?
I haven't seen it. They said that. I'll tell you guys off the air, but they said that I could see it later, in the later date. Yeah, I think in March. Yeah. Well,
you're great. You're great in the documentary. I do want to tell a quick little story. There's a moment where they ask you about life in the bubble. You really enjoyed the bubble, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I love the bubble. Like some people were saying like how they didn't really enjoy it. Like, we wish we could have went home. No, it was distractions going back to school. It was all this stuff, and the guys got to be together. Like that was like the last month. Like we literally spent the last month of the season together with each other, and like we'll never have that opportunity to do that again because we knew. Everybody knew that I wasn't coming back. We knew Davion wasn't coming back because his name was going up, and we knew that Jared wasn't coming back. Like nobody ever said it, but we knew that was the case. So we knew that, and we knew that Mark wasn't coming back as well. So we knew that the team, like it would just never be the same. So I enjoyed every minute of it.
So you're from Cincinnati, obviously. What were your thoughts about the Bengals being so close to a world championship?
Man, honestly, watching the game, they should have won the game. They definitely should have won the Super Bowl, I feel like. And we're not going to say what the ref should have done, what the ref shouldn't have done. I mean, I don't think they scored the ball in the second half. So it was very disappointing. But to see the city in the way that it was, like I FaceTime my friends, my brother and sister from back home, and they went out on Super Bowl, and it was crowded. Like my sister was at, I think, a place called Yard House, and she got there at noon, and there was nowhere for her to sit. And everybody stayed for the game, and the game was 6 hours later. So everybody was out there camping out for the game. My brother was out. It was packed out with the capacity where he was. So, like, the environment, I know the businesses downtown were flourishing. And it was just a great time for the city. So, I'm happy.
Maceo Teague, Salt Lake City Stars, the guard, former Baylor All-American, and also national champion with us on 365 Sports.
Maceo, what have you thought about what Davion Mitchell's been doing in Sacramento?
He's been playing pretty well. I talked to Dave probably 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week. So we rarely talk about basketball, but when we do, he talks about how he's like getting in the groove of things. At first, he wasn't really playing well. I was talking to Rim about it, and he wasn't shooting the ball well. I should say that. And Rim and I were just saying like how he's going to find it, how he's going to get it going, And literally soon as we talked about it, the very next game, I think he had like his career high, and he's been playing well ever since going into All-Star break. So hopefully he can keep his momentum going coming out of All-Star break.
Do you work? I mean, I know you're a hard worker. That's why you guys are kind of a match. You know, all the guys that you had on your team, everybody. You even going back to Freddie Gillespie, like everybody worked really hard. But have you found that like? You know, I had an English teacher in college or in high school that was really tough. And then I had a guy in college who tried to be tough, but he was not near as tough as that guy. Do you find that maybe that, like, you've got a lot of guys who are working hard, but I mean, that group that you guys had, that's hard to find gym rats like that all together.
Yeah, it definitely is. I would definitely say that it's hard. That I feel like that would be hard to match, like, going forward. Just the amount of guys that we saw in the gym in and out. Like, it was times where I wanted to go to the gym at night and shoot by myself. And just so I could hear my ball bouncing. And I would go in there and I would hear somebody else's ball bouncing along with two other ones. I'm like, man, I'm about to just come back in an hour because there was 3 people in the gym and it's 11 o'clock. So yeah, I would definitely say it would be hard to replicate that.
So who did the coaches have to try to get to leave the gym most? Was it you, Davion, Freddie, Jared? Who was the one that had to, like, you just need to go home for a little while?
I would say, honestly, they wouldn't do it to me because I'm a really rhythm guy, and they would say if Maceo like dies in here, like he'll be all right in the game, like he'll be fine, like he'll figure out a way to get his legs good for in the game. I would say I don't think they honestly pushed anybody out the gym. I would say if they had to tell anybody to like relax, it would probably be John, because John, he not only does he like work out, but he'll be doing like full court running like to a ball screen, and then he sprints to rim rolling, and then he's dunking as hard as he can. It's like, John, we got a game and like tomorrow, and he's doing like a full 50-minute workout. Then he's gonna go in and lift. Then he's gonna come back and shoot. Like, to where I would be doing like maintenance stuff. Like, I would be in there for an hour and a half, but it would be maintenance stuff, some stuff I felt like I need to touch up on. But John is working out like it's July. So I would say if anybody, it was probably John.
So then when you saw him go down to the ground, or whenever that was, how gut-wrenching was that, knowing what happened to his knee?
Yeah, it was very upsetting just because, like, you know, the amount of work that he put in. Like, I understand that he was in the gym shooting like so many shots. When I saw him shooting the basketball, when I would come back and shoot, he's one of the guys that I was referring to. I understood that, like, when he's working out, like, he's working to try to get better so he can go to the next level. I understand that John is in there guarding literally for 30 minutes straight, like playing one-on-one. Me and Davion playing on this offense. John is guarding for literally 30 minutes straight, just trying to figure out how he can get better so he can switch out on the guard. And he can run a 1 through 5 switching on in the defense for Baylor. Yeah, so I understood that. So it was really hurtful to see John go down in a way that he did and have a season-ending injury.
What have you thought about what you've seen from the team this year? Obviously, there's been injuries galore that have kind of interrupted being able to build that chemistry. That's something you guys had some experience with at times. It's been kind of off and on herky-jerk because of guys being in and out of the lineup, and now we know JTT's gone for the rest of the year, but hey, only 5 losses. They're right there, you know, top 10-ish and right in the thick of things. How do you feel about the Bears in 2021?
I feel good about them this year. I feel like they're doing a great job working with what they have. And not only that, they're overcoming a lot. So I'm enjoying watching them play. I've watched probably, I think they played 24 games. I probably watched 16 of them. And yeah, like I think that they're doing a good job, like working with each other, because I know when a lot of times guys get hurt. So not only does that affect them in the games, that affects them in practice.
Yep.
Because guys aren't being together as much. Like even in practice, like some guys might be in the locker room doing rehab and stuff like that. So they're not getting the full concept of what's going on in practice. So when they do come back, they're a little bit behind. So it's just the little things like that may be slowing them down. But I feel like they'll figure it out. They got a great coaching staff and a great group of learners over there and all the players.
You surprised your mom last night? Did you showed up at the house? Was she not expecting you?
No, she was not expecting me. She knew I was coming home this weekend, but she didn't know when. Like, I never told her, and she was asking me like when I was coming home, and she had FaceTimed me earlier that day, and I didn't respond. And I know she was probably thinking like, why didn't he call back? But it was because I was like on the road and I was like driving back home. So yeah, she did not know I was coming.
You know, there's a lot of incredible parents all throughout Baylor athletics, but Barbara, your mother, is amazing. She still is as passionate about Baylor as, maybe not quite with you being on the team the last few years, but she still gives them a pep talk. I think they may need her to come down and talk to them.
Yeah, she's still really passionate about the team, man. She supports a lot of guys, especially the guys that she knew last year that were on the team and that I would speak about a lot. And so she's a really big Baylor fan, really big supporter of the Bears, and not only basketball, football as well. She like tweets about the football team more than I can handle. Like sometimes I hope she doesn't hear this, but I had to mute her a couple of times on Twitter. She tweets so much.
Does she still have? Does she taught you how to shoot? Does she still have, like, if you guys played horse right now, could she still hang?
Yeah, she can still hang. She's gonna shoot all mid range, but she can still hang though. She'll make them though. She'll probably shoot like 6 warm up shots and be like, all right, I'm ready. And I just find that like baffling that anybody can just come in the gym and just shoot 6 times and be like, all right, I'm ready.
What's one of the things that she keeps talking about, and she has said this before, is that how this team needs to dig deep. You guys had the ability, but you'd known each other for a long enough time, one, because the year before the season was snatched away from you, plus a lot of how last year was as well. Do you feel like, based on those who experienced the national title, that they can dig deep, even though there's moving parts again this year?
Yeah, certainly. I feel like it's always in them. It takes a culture to win, and I feel like they've built that culture over time. Since Coach Drew has been there, the culture has been like building and building and building. So it would take a lot to knock the culture down. So I feel like they can still dig deep and find that winning aspect and find a winning spirit. And I mean, winning the regular season is cool. Winning the Big 12 tournament is cool. And we lost in the Big 12 tournament. I remember, sorry to get off topic, but when we lost in the Big 12 tournament, I remember like 5 minutes after we lost, like we started laughing in the locker room. We're like, hey, at least we get the rest for the real tournament, because we want to win a national championship. Like, it's cool to win a Big 12 tournament, but nobody remembers who the 2021 Big 12 tournament champions were. I mean, not only that, there's teams that, like Texas isn't even in the Big 12 anymore after this year, after next year, whatever it is. So like their conference won't even remember who the Big 12 tournament is, but everybody remembers the national championship. So that's the goal that they need to be striving for.
And you dominated the Final Four along with most every game the rest of the year, or throughout the year. Now, who taught you how to catch the football? Who was it in your family that taught you how to catch the football?
My grandpa.
Out
for sure.
Out in the yard and just...
Yeah, Rufus Brooks, he taught me how to catch. He just throw it to me soft. He's like, hey, look, man, you got to catch it. He would catch everything. Like he would throw something to him and say, hey, Grant, catch. And he'd like turn and he would catch it. He was older. He was probably, 68 years old, 70 years old. I'm not really sure how old he was when we were growing up. But, yeah, he could catch everything. So he'd just tell us, like, hey, just hold your hands like this. Just watch into your hands and see it into your hands. So he taught me how to catch a football. And honestly, I think that if I ever wanted to go out to be a wide receiver, I might not be fast enough, but I know I can catch the ball well enough. I wouldn't have many drops on the year. I know I could catch the ball well enough.
All right, one more thing. When you were in second grade and you came home crying because you were on your bike, what was happening to you? What happened that day?
I was on my bike and I was crying.
Yep.
My mom must have asked you that story. I don't really remember what happened. I must have lost something, and my mom probably told me to go back out there and play again.
Do you remember getting chased by a dog?
Oh, yeah. So I remember I was riding through the neighborhood, and we had all these big dogs in the neighborhood. Like, it was a whole bunch of big dogs. We had stray dogs that were always running around and stuff. And I remember probably like 2 weeks before that, I was at the park, and this big dog ran over there. My brother was like, Mace, hurry up. And he hopped on the fence. And by the time I turned around, the dog was on the other side of the fence. Well, thankfully for me, the fence was like big enough and wide enough that I could avoid the dog. So I remember I was riding a bike, pedaling, and I just heard this dog. So I took off pedaling as fast as I could, fell off the bike. And next thing you know, I ran into the house crying. And my parents went back out there to see about the dogs. And I told them where the house was. And I never got a good look at the dogs, but I promise you the dogs were it was like 4 Shih Tzus out there. And it chased me home. And I fell off the bike. So, yeah, that was crazy. And my parents, hey, going back out there, man. And they still talk about that to this day. I forgot about that one, actually.
Well, I'm sorry to bring it up. It was a Chihuahua. Your mom says it was a Chihuahua.
Man, it was some baby dogs out there. It was like 3 of them all in 1 yard. They were so small, man. That was crazy.
Hey, but that's embarrassing. That's strength in numbers, Maceo.
No,
look,
exactly
you were
right.
you don't know they're going to come at you from different angles.
Two get one ankle, two get the elbow. Hey, it's great talking to you. I know you have a dream for the league. How much does that still fuel your fire every day you wake up?
Every single day. Very passionate about that. And when I was at Asheville, I really wanted, when I transferred, I went to UNC Asheville. When I was there, I knew I wanted to go to a high major school. And every day I woke up and I knew I was like, one day I'm going to get there. One day I'm going to get there. And I knew I was going to persevere through. And it's the same thing here in the G League.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time,
Yes,
Maceo.
sir.
Good luck. Great to have you. Oh, man, he is fun
Y'all
to
have a
talk
good
to.
one.
You too. Maceo Teague, national championship guard with the Salt Lake City Stars, part of the Utah Jazz organization. And love the story about the Chihuahua and also about everything else he talked about today. When we come back, Grayson Grunhafer, Sikkim 365 radio recruiting analyst, Sikkim 365 Sports. Discover Woodway. If you have a special event, banquet, dinner, gala, fundraiser, and you need somewhere to go, somewhere to host what you have, as whatever the event might be, the Carleen Bright Arboretum is available. Seats 360 people in a buffet style, or at least in a dinner type style. They have their own audio visual that they provide for you. And if you have somebody that you want to help, like the caterer, you don't have to worry about whether they're connected to the Arboretum. You can bring an outside caterer, for example, someone you know that runs a restaurant or who will do that for you. And there are events, obviously there's weddings, that's one. Banquets, yes, that too. DiscoverWoodway.com is where you can go to get information on the Carleen Bright Arboretum, and also 7 hotels, about 10 to 12 minutes driving distance from Baylor's campus in downtown Waco.
This is your 54th District Judge, Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTN Electric, see dealer for details.
The New Year, New Ride sales event continues at Richard Carr. Find pre-owned deals like a 2015 GMC Acadia or a 2016 Honda Accord for $227 a month, or get a 2019 Ram Tradesman truck for $333 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. Get top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always the goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Grayson Grunhafer, co-host of the Bearcast with Craig Smoak, Sikkim365.com recruiting coordinator. I like to call him that rather than analyst. He is the coordinator. Grayson, thanks for your time. I got one question. I've lost part of my voice. I'll let them, Craig and Paul, get the rest of them. But you put something up about some of what Baylor's dealing with right now, or how they will deal with it, or which is more annoying than the others, with some of the, I would say, shrapnel from the NCAA punishment involving the Pepper Hamilton report. How much of what the bans and all of that really affect them in a way that's not good?
Yeah, it's actually, it hasn't even really been that bad, to be honest. I put up a note today because I kind of heard about this little 2-week pause that they were under communication-wise, and that was one of the punishments that was listed in, from the Pepper Hamilton stuff, the things of the past. So Baylor's on a 2-week pause. That ends actually on Sunday. So they'll be open up for communication once again. And pretty much all of their punishments have been, dealt with. They've pretty much done every single one of them. The only one that I believe is left is the official visits. They can only have 30 of those through the end of this year. So saying that, they're in a really good position. They've been able to kind of maneuver and navigate through kind of those punishments and try to get them over with as quickly as possible. And honestly, it hasn't really affected much on the recruiting side of things, other than, a couple pauses here and there, a couple visits here and there that they couldn't allow, things like that. But yeah, it's almost over. They're almost through it. And that way they can kind of move ahead and look forward to the things that are to come, which is, a really, really good 2023 recruiting class that they've already gotten off to a great start with.
Yeah, the NCAA has those real IOC type punishments.
Yeah.
You can't talk to recruits 2 weeks after signing day is over and 10 months before any of them can sign anyway. That was stout. It's just kind of silly. Grayson, from the chat room, from Daniel, he wants to know if Baylor has a shot at Allen defensive lineman Zina Umazulu.
Yeah, so Zena's actually a 2024 guy. So, that's a long way in the future. Obviously, his brother Neto was a 2022 commit signee with University of Texas. He kind of had an interesting recruitment, visited Baylor quite a few times, along with his brother Zena. They actually have a cousin, Demond, as well, who's up in the, I believe he's in the New Jersey area, who he's completely blown up recruiting-wise. So, very talented family. As far as Zena goes, I would say it's probably too early to tell. He has a really nice offer list. I think he's probably going to end up being a top 50, probably even higher than that type player in the entire state of Texas. So I would say that he's probably a long shot at this point, but Baylor has built a good relationship with him. He visited quite a few times with his brother and also attended a camp. So they're still in an okay spot, but again, he's going to be a highly coveted guy.
Grayson, how much did the official word on Aranda's contract reverberate around recruiting circles, if at all?
Yeah, not a lot, Craig. And you know why? Because of what we've talked about for months. He wasn't going anywhere.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, yeah, it's great to see pen to paper, but I think most of the recruits and people that kind of follow these things, it's pretty much like, this was already a done deal. He said it a million times, as many ways as he possibly could have. And so I think recruits saw that and took him at his word. And now for it to be released, I think it's just more of confirmation for what they already knew. So I wouldn't say it's a big jump in recruiting by any means, but I think it's nice to know that, there's stability there.
Grayson, what's coming down the pipe here in the next couple months for them now that their little pause is over on Sunday?
Yeah, so obviously with spring ball starting probably in the middle of March, that's when you're going to start to see more visitors on the Baylor side of things. You'll start to see guys come to spring football practices. You're going to see that kind of throughout the month of March and some of April as well. You'll see guys visit for the green and gold game in April. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big thing. There's going to be a lot of unofficial visits coming up, and Baylor still hasn't decided what they're going to do with their official visits yet. I'm very curious to see kind of what route they take, if they do summer official visits or if they save one, a big one for the fall, or kind of just how they navigate it, because this is the first year that Dave Aranda is going to have a real, full recruiting class type year where there is no COVID involved. So I'm curious how that kind of plays out. But for now, it's going to be unofficial visits. A lot of guys coming for spring practices. They get to see how the Baylor coaches coach and also see how the current players respond to that coaching.
Grayson, when you mentioned Aranda, and as you mentioned, everybody that needed to know knew. Where do you think that they will be different as they move forward from what even he's done his first two classes? Is there something that they will start to tweak differently, who they go after? Obviously, they're going to get better players because of what they've done the last year.
Yeah, I would say it's more that. It's more the talent and the quality of talent that I think they're going to be able to land as things go forward, just with the stability, with the fact that they have a bunch of wins next to their name, which, Dave Aranda, the number was 2 wins his first year. That's hard to recruit with. And so now he's got a Big 12 championship, a Sugar Bowl. I just think there's a lot of momentum that goes into that. And, I mean, if you look at their current recruiting rankings and the guys they've landed, I mean, they've done a really good job landing high-quality guys. And I'm really curious as this, 2023 class progresses to see how many of those quote-unquote long shot type guys they end up having a real chance with late in the process. They were able to land Armani Winfield late in the 2022 class. So I'm curious if that kind of continues in 2023, which I believe it will. Now, as far as kind of, I guess, specifics, I mean, obviously they shifted some things in the recruiting department, brought in some new people. I think that's just kind of one of those things where they want to get better at organization, evaluation, and also, frankly, going out and recruiting kids and being able to land kids in the process. So I think it's more about that, more about making sure everyone is on the same page and making sure that they're able to go out and potentially compete with every school in the country for their highest end commit.
I saw you make a comment about Jakevian Rogers from Dangerfield, who appeared to be about as happy a commit, and a guy that was going to be maybe a ringleader for them. And obviously Hampton and Rogers both have decommitted. Hampton now committed to Texas. Rogers looking around. But you feel like, and again, this isn't like the bitterness or sour grapes, you feel like that they can find plenty that's just as good or better?
Yeah, I really don't view that one as a loss. I mean, Rogers came in and measured under 6'1", and he was under 150 pounds when he was on campus for junior day. So I don't know. Just for me, that frame is not really ideal for what they're trying to build. And I think at the cornerback position, they're in a great spot with a lot of different recruits who I think, frankly, are just a little bit better, and maybe even more than a little bit better. So I'm really not too worried about it. Now, cornerback is a position of need. It's a position that they absolutely have to address in this class, and they absolutely will. So, again, they got to figure out how to make up for that loss, but I think it gives them an open spot to go out and possibly find someone a little bit better who maybe will be more ready for the college game early on. And so, yeah, again, I'm not too worried about it. I think that this is one of those situations where Jakevian probably committed a little bit too early. Same thing with Aaron Hampton. And so they're going to go out and test the waters. But for the Baylor side of things, I think they're going to be just fine because, like I said, they're in a great position with some of their top-end cornerbacks.
Grayson, before we let you go, thoughts on men's basketball entering the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, they really got to get things figured out because that Texas Tech loss was not a good one. You know, they started off so strong, and you saw L.J. Cryer hit a couple shots, and you're kind of sitting there going, man, are they really going to go into Lubbock and pull this off? Now that script obviously turned very, very quickly in the second half. And at the end of the day, they got to get healthy, and they got to get to a point where L.J. Cryer is playing more than 15 minutes. And they just got to get to a point where they've kind of played a little bit without Everyday John being there. And so to play in Lubbock, your first game after losing him, that's really tough. And then also you only get L.J. Cryer for 15 minutes, shaking off all the rust that I'm sure he had and conditioning that I'm sure he needs. It just was a bad situation. I think we all thought they would probably lose that game, so it's okay. But now moving forward, they just got to get better and figure out ways to compensate for the loss of EJ, and then also figure out a way to get L.J. Cryer back in game shape as quickly as possible because, guys, March is right around the corner. So they really got to get some things figured out quick.
Thank you, buddy. Grayson Gruenhafer, Sikkim365.com recruiting analyst or recruiting coordinator if you want. By the way, Scotty B, our good friend Scotty B. I'm not sure the name of the site.
It's Big Game Boomer.
Okay.
Yeah.
He changed his mind on who he now thinks was the best person to follow Baylor athletics. And this time we agree. Scotty B, Scotty_BU_King, is like a beat reporter who covers nothing but Baylor, and I'm talking from tennis to basketball to whatever else anyone else is doing that affects the teams that Baylor has.
He could get hired by a Baylor site and not change a thing about what he tweets, and he'd be perfect.
We pay him in love.
Absolutely.
We pay him with respect. He's truly
a great follow.
Fantastic. Yeah. He really is, and I'm putting that up on the Twitter feed that we just saw. And again, a lot of people can say a lot of different things, but he's amazing. All right, when we come back, Alvin Brooks III, Baylor assistant men's basketball coach, just got word will join us. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now. Richard Carr, a lot of SUVs, both new and used, a lot of cars, both new and used that you can get your hands on right now. As far as the incoming new vehicles, well, if you want to be a first come, first serve in that regard, get on the inbound vehicle list at Richard Carr right now. Get your new car or truck as soon as they arrive. You can buy a truck now and get 0% financing for 72 months for qualified buyers. Richard Carr is receiving new deliveries each and every week right now. If you're looking for a truck, they've got the GMC Sierra in stock with more on the way. You get 0% for 72 months for qualified buyers. It's got a luxury interior ride that compares to a luxury sedan, plus a large amount of head and leg room and class cargo bed volume. They've also got a bunch of different SUVs from GMC, Buick, and Cadillac, 11 different models with dozens of trim options. They are a one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs. They've got the luxury of Cadillac Escalades, the fun and nimble Buick Encores, whatever you're looking for. They've got SUVs starting at $24,000. So call now, come by now, or go online to find the perfect SUV for your family. And if you're not looking to buy new, they have plenty of premium pre-owned cars and trucks on as well. So go online or come by for a test drive today. Trust the good local people you can count on for over 20 years in Central Texas. Proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Blackler for three. Yes. Smooth.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Alvin Brooks III, Baylor men's basketball assistant coach. They play TCU tomorrow at home, Farrell Center. Joins us, Sikkim 365 Radio. AB, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Has there been a hangover at all, you think, from the injury to Jonathan?
First of all, thanks for having me. And I think, initially, I think you do have a hangover just because of, I don't think people realize how much time they spend together, and it's a real brotherhood. And so when one of your brothers go through something that he's going through, and, Jonathan has a great spirit and brings a lot of energy. And so when that's not around, I think it's adjustment for everyone. And so, it's definitely not an excuse by any means, but, I definitely think that everyone is having to adjust, and some guys have to adjust to a different role, a bigger role, and a little bit of a different position, to be honest.
How much difference is it with a week, though, to prepare for some of those different roles? With you guys kind of had the news, you had a couple days, you have to figure it out as a coaching staff what you really want to do, and then to execute it in practice is only really 2 days of doing that. So how much difference do you think it'll make these couple of days you have before TCU tomorrow to adjust to those new roles?
It gives you a couple more days to be able to practice different lineups and give you an opportunity to, to look at, different matchups or different, lineups that, can you go big here? Can you go small here? You know, can this guy play this position? You know, how many plays do they know at each position? That's the biggest thing. And then also just defensively making sure that we can continue to guard at a high level and stand out of foul trouble, because we're going to need guys to play a little bit more minutes than what they've played in the past.
Alvin, looking back at that Texas Tech game, what was kind of the prevailing thoughts coming out of that one?
They were the toughest team that night. I think it's not a complicated game by any means. They made plays, and you know, they made a lot more tougher plays than we did at the end of the day. And I think that's something that gave us an opportunity to look at film, and also gave us an opportunity to correct. And so, you know, we feel like they had a night where they were just tougher than us, and so we have to look in the mirror and get better at it and move forward.
Yeah, and there's been like 3 games which got away. I know Oklahoma State, but the way Kansas and then Alabama almost, and then in that one, is that something that's been kind of a surprise that perhaps you guys were out hustled, out energied, and outplayed?
No, I thought we played well the first half, and again, I think it's an adjustment period, and I think we maybe got a little tired the second half, and so when we did make the times where we didn't, you know, make a couple plays, they made the plays, and they subbed quite a bit, and so it's a part of it. You know, I think it's a learning experience. You know, I think we don't have the experience that they have. You know, they're grown men. They don't have a freshman at all. You know, their guys are 22, 23 years old, and you know, I think people forget, like, we have some 18-year-olds that's playing a lot of minutes, and so the experience that they had kind of took over a little bit all around, and you know, it's definitely something that we'll continue to learn from.
And wasn't that kind of the compliment to your team last year when you beat Gonzaga, and also how you hammered Houston, was that you guys were almost, excuse my French, but like grown-ass men?
No, I mean, you're right. Every guy in the top 8 last year was in our program minimum of 2 years, and some of them 3 years, and in Mark Vital's case, 5 years. So, you know, the experience that they had, we had the habits that you needed to win in any environment. And so, you know, right now, you know, we have some older guys, but at the same time, we still, with the injuries, we still gelling every week, because, you know, we've had somebody out since January 8th. Actually, since the last time we played TCU, we hadn't had our whole team back now one game since January 8th. So every game you're adjusting to somebody playing a different role.
Did you guys know, I know you knew he was good when he came in, James Akinjo, but did you realize he was as tough as he was to play through what he's done so far this year?
From talking to, you know, we try to do our research, and so from talking to all the people that he's played for, from AAU to, you know, each college that he's played for, he's done that everywhere he's been. So, you know, all it does is just shows that the people that gave us the information, they actually told us the truth. So, and we're kind of glad that they did, because, you know, a lot of times that don't happen. But I mean, he's a tough kid, and he's playing through a lot. So we definitely appreciate him for that.
Alvin, with the success you guys have had over the years, I mean, there's typically teams always kind of chasing you guys in some ways, but you were also chasing as well. You were part of the hunter pack, and now you became the hunted once you accomplished what you did last year. Is there a noticeable difference in being the hunted versus being the hunter?
I think it is, as far as, you know, you could tell. I'm the type of person where I get motivated off of the little small things, crazy things, but you know, watching film after the game, you can see how the benches are celebrating when they make big plays, and they celebrate a little bit more against us than they do other teams. And so, I think, you know, things like that shows, and, you know, obviously, you know, you have guys banking in shots, and, you know, just the energy level to compete against us is high. And I think that's great, because it allows us to not, you know, take anything for granted. It allows us to compete at a high level each and every night.
You are the body language guy. That's why you're the proud body language coordinator, right?
Yes, sir. I definitely, that's something that I study a lot.
Is that something that you've always kind of even had as a young kid, or you could kind of tell what someone might be thinking, maybe thinking about you, or you had a gut instinct? Is that something that's gone well back in your life?
Yes, I've always been a quiet person. And I think, my family never thought I would coach, except a few of them, because I was so quiet as a kid. And a lot of it was because I'm a observant person. And so I would just observe a lot. And so I think naturally, I began to see, people's body language and kind of, I'm not an expert by any means, but I could definitely, I could see it a lot, especially in sports. I could see read body language quite a bit in sports.
Can you try to read the body language Jerome Tang was in a timeout during that early second half against Texas Tech?
Well, I read his body language a lot because he's right in front of me all the time. So I can read his body language quite a bit.
That was a timeout. I don't know if you guys, and you were there, Alvin, and it was a one-sided conversation. One person was talking during that timeout.
Was it Coach Tang?
Yeah, he was in some grills, I think, during a timeout. May have been when Scott was with you guys trying to do something on the board, and then, he was very demonstrative. It was right after they made the early run in the second half, which kind of flipped the switch on that game. So, back to James Akinjo. He is an incredible talent. I don't know where you guys would be without him. I know that at times he can get a little bit wild with the ball. But where would you guys be without James Akinjo on this team?
That's a question that I'm not sure, and a question that I really wouldn't want to know the answer to.
Okay,
to be honest,
there you go.
Just because he's come in and he's done a lot for our program as far as adapting to our culture and, buying into what we believe in. He's done a great job of accepting the staff, and his brothers. And I think, he's a point guard that, he likes to score, but at the same time, I want to say last week he averaged 7 assists. And so, it's tough. I was just telling Coach Tang earlier today, and talking to my dad earlier today, it's really, really hard to be a point guard because they're judged more than any other position, because their job is to try to make everyone else happy. And, I don't know if that's even possible in life to make everybody happy, but, even coaches, their job is to make us happy. And so he has a very, very tough job. And so, he just have to continue to do what he do and try to continue to make everybody happy and continue to also have the success that he want to have.
Do you think it's even been more difficult because of who he replaced?
Yes, I think from the public view, It has been, but not for us. I think, one thing that we did not want to do is compare any of our guys to anyone from last year. And so, every year is a different year. And even, we have some of the same players from last year, and we didn't want to compare them to, if you think about it, John, how many threes did he shoot last year? And then if you look at John this year, how many threes were he allowed to shoot? So if we compare John last year to this year, then we'd be like, no, John, we don't want you to shoot threes.
Right.
And so I think, every year we don't try to compare anyone to the previous year. And so the public eye, I'm sure they may be comparing him to, the guards that we had. And, I think that's really unfair because everyone have their own game.
One more thing then. Did you think that when you guys were 15-0, you even had national analysts talking about how this team might be better than last year's team? Was that dangerous?
I thought it was, obviously it's dangerous because, last year's team, how can you get better than the national championship?
Yep.
So I think it's dangerous in that sense. But, I think the difficult part is we would never know because we would never have the entire team together if everyone was healthy. to see if we could have made a run at, having a historic run. But, everything happens for a reason. And so, we have guys that's hurt. And so we just got to figure it out. And then, we have a lot of basketball left, and we have a chance to continue to win championships. So we just got to continue to get better every day.
Alvin, thoughts on TCU? No, you guys played them about 5 weeks ago, but what's changed? How you view them going into tomorrow?
They're a very tough team. I mean, they're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. They know their roles. Coach Dixon teams are always tough. They don't run a lot of complicated things, and the things that they run, they're very good at it because it's something that they just do. And, Mike Miles is, one of the best guards in the league, and Eddie Lampkin is playing at a high level the last 5 games. And, we got to do a great job of keeping them off the boards and trying to be the toughest team.
Alvin, thank you, man. Appreciate your time. I know TCU does pound the boards, and that's something that got you on Wednesday night in Lubbock. We appreciate your time. All of the assistant coaches, of course, Coach Drew, every other Monday as well. Thank you very AB. Alvin Brooks, Baylor assistant coach. When we come back, from men's basketball to a surging women's team, Baylor women's basketball, and Nikki Collin, head coach, joins us next on Sick on 365 Radio. IdealMRI.com can do 2 things for you. 1, save you a lot of money, maybe hundreds, and in some cases thousands of dollars. And number 2, the reason you go to them is because something you have hurts. A ligament, a muscle, something is torn, maybe not quite that bad, but an MRI can tell a doctor. They have Texan specialists inside their building, inside the Central Texas marketplace. Dr. Rob Maxey, of course, is one of the partners, and has done a great job since they opened up their doors. $497 or less every single time with an MRI. The average MRI is $1,100. So right then and there, you're saving money. $497 or less every single time. Tell them Smokey sent you at IdealMRI.com.
Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
Truck Month started early at Allen Samuels. You could get a 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star with total values up to $7,500 or as little as 0% for 72 months. This month, first responders get an extra $500. Come see why Ram continues to win awards year after year. Take home power, performance, and reliability, and shop the huge new car and truck inventory in stock today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have the opportunity if people have to pay things off as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
If you look at the Big 12 women's basketball standings, Baylor, Iowa State at the top at 10-3, Oklahoma and Kansas right below it at 9-4. We're now joined by the head coach of the surging Baylor women's basketball team in Nikki Collins. Nikki, when things started off slowly, and obviously there were a lot of different circumstances, did you ever think you would get back to a point where even with 3 or 4 games left, you would control your own destiny for the championship?
You know, I don't think I ever thought long term. You know, I think it really was at that point about going one game at a time and just continuing to become a better basketball team and, you know, controlling what we could control at that point. And so, you know, I mean, it's good to be back in that situation for sure. But I think we're trying to approach it with the same attitude that, you know, we can only control the game in front of us and to do our best to do that.
How long did it take the players to adjust to the 7-person rotation that you have? Because usually you kind of get used to 8, you know, and people may not realize how valuable minutes, even if that 8th person is only playing 10 minutes, that it really is in the course of a 40-minute game. But was that part of it now that you guys are kind of in that rhythm of the rotation that you have?
You know, I don't think that players ever want to come out of the game. So, you know, I think that when you look at a lot of box scores around the country in the women's game, you really see a lot of teams only playing 7 players, maybe 8. And so, you know, it's about utilizing them the best. It's about getting into, you know, certainly a rotation where you get rest at the right time for people. But sometimes even with 7, you feel like, you know, you're not getting certain players enough minutes off the bench, even that in that scenario. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's bad. I think there's obviously over time there's more comfort in your role. We've learned, you know, to have better balance, and you know, and I think that's affected our success as much as anything.
Nikki, now that you guys are, you know, you've been around for a while now at this point, what's just the personal journey been like of getting to know these young women, being their coach, developing those relationships, and how much ground do you think you've gained since you've arrived?
Wow. You know, it's flown by. It's hard to believe that we have 5 conference games left, you know, before the Big 12 tournament. You know, I certainly think, you know, especially with a small roster that, you know, I was able to establish relationships pretty easily from the beginning. I think they trusted me. I think over time, you know, they see certain things come to fruition, and so then it's easier when you have personal success, when you have collective success, you know, for that message to kind of maybe come through loud and clear. But I've just been grateful for the journey. You know, I closed on a house today, so when I think about, you know, everything that's happened from building a house to, you know, where we're at in the season, I'm just grateful for this time and, you know, kind of this opportunity.
Yeah, you know,
congratulations.
Big
deal.
I was told that, and congratulations. What does that mean to you now? That I know you. I've seen the episodes. I've watched Our Time. I've seen some of those moments when you're reflecting. Obviously, your family has been on the East Coast, and some of them in town. Your husband, I think, in town to help you close in the house. What does that mean to you to kind of put your roots down?
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's good to have a reason to come home.
Mm-hmm.
At night. Not that I haven't been in great temporary housing, but just this idea of a space that's your own. As much as I love my job, I oftentimes stay at the office till 10 or 11, and not because I have to, because I can certainly do a lot of work, the work I do at the office, watching computer at home. And so, for me, it's just feeling like, I am home and, really have a place that the family can comfortably come and visit and want to visit. And, we'll break ground on a pool next week. And so, it's just about that. It's about being able to entertain recruits and entertain families and entertain our team just in general. Like, I'm just kind of looking forward to that as much as anything.
Yeah, it's normalcy. It makes your job a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm also, my plan is to get a dog too. So, then that forces me to come home.
Oh Lord!
What kind of dog do you know? You get a?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna get an Aussie Doodle. So like part Australian Shepherd, part obviously standard poodle. So, I grew up with a lab. My husband and I's first dog was a lab. I absolutely love them, but once you're used to dogs that don't shed, it's hard to go back. So, yeah, that's the direction I'm headed.
Nikki, you obviously, this team has turned, and a lot of it is just time together. Well, not with you, but themselves as well, because of some transfers with Asbury and obviously Jordan Lewis or whatever else. When did you see the light come on? Was it a moment even during a bad moment, a loss, a practice? When did you see the light come on?
I think you see different moments throughout the season. I mean, you see moments where you can tell that certain things are going to work. There's certain times. I certainly thought in the Iowa State game that we turned the corner. It took getting over the hump. And I mean, the Kansas game was huge for us just to put that first conference on the board, especially coming off of COVID. But I think it's little things. It's the progress we've made in our zone offense from the first time we played Kansas State to the second time, and even against TCU on Wednesday night, how at times we just kind of rifled through their zone when early in the season, when teams played a zone, we struggled. It's very easy for me to get Melissa shots against man-to-man. I can move her around. I can screen for her. I can put her in different spots. But against zones, you really got to share the basketball. You got to move. You got to move it. But it's over this last month where you've seen, some games that, 26 assists and 5 turnovers against TCU, or, really how we had great synergy on defense against Iowa State. We're learning to share the basketball. We're learning to trust one another. We're learning to really move the ball from good to great. And then even when we aren't playing our best, we grind until we get over the hump, and that's what good teams do. Good teams figure out when they don't have their best stuff, how do we still come away with a victory?
You mentioned Alyssa there. Obviously, a lot of hype surrounding her before you even arrived. I mean, she's been around here for a little while now. There's all this WNBA draft talk as well, and you knew coming in she was going to be a centerpiece for you. But what's it been like working with Alyssa, working on her game, developing that relationship? What's been your experience?
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, I think she's someone who was ready to expand her game, and I know she feels like, so I don't want to say any of this is me, because I know she feels like she came to Baylor with some guard skills and then, was put in a position to just play on the interior, for 3 years. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the person that developed her game. I think I just kind of opened the door, and gave her the freedom to do some things she maybe hasn't done. And the great part about Melissa is that, she finds a way to get it done, didn't make jump shots against TCU the other night. And so we got her on the block. She worked the block. She worked the high post, put the ball on the floor, got in transition, got some things around the rim. So when her jump shot wasn't going, she still found a way to be really effective and efficient. And I think that's the thing that's been great about her is that in the midst of opening up her game, shooting a few more threes, it's not like she's firing 5 threes a game, but in the midst of kind of expanding and showing more of her skill set on a consistent basis, her efficiency is as good or better than it was a year ago. And so she's doing a good job of not just taking shots outside of 5 feet, but making them.
Nikki, at the end of the Iowa State game in the press conference afterwards, Queen Egbo and I believe Jordan Lewis were the players. You were in the middle. Was there a time when I think Queen and or Jordan or both, and that's and or, made a comment about how much they love you and how much they appreciate you, where you got a little emotional hearing that from them?
Well, I just know this is a hard job, and, the expectations, I was from the beginning going to do it my way, going to respect the past, but, was hired to coach how I coach. And, and I coach very emotionally. I invest a lot of myself personally. Like I let people in, I let players in, I let staff in, I let ESPN in to kind of who I am and what I do. And so, I just know that it's not easy. It's not easy to be in the public eye today. And I knew what I signed up for. I absolutely 100% knew what I signed up for taking this job. At the same time, my goal is to always meet everyone's expectations, and so, when you feel like people look at you as a disappointment or, wish it was somebody else or all of that, you can't help but feel that, So I always said the most important people to me were, certainly what my family thinks, but what our team thinks, what our staff thinks, what the administration thinks. And, I knew I was in the right space with all of them through this process, but, you still, as a coach, you put expectations on yourself regardless of what, the exterior expectations are. But you still feel those, you really, really feel those. And so, I think it's just emotional. I mean, we're in this together. We're invested.
So when your family's on the East Coast and you're going through a tough stretch and you hear some of that chatter, is that like an incredibly lonely time? Who did you lean on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you lean on your staff, you lean on your family. I'm still, I'm still a bit of a, I lean on my parents a lot, because, and really, I have, kind of a mentor that I lean on who actually I had to speak to our team. He's written books and stuff like that. And his name is Dwayne Cummings. And he's just kind of my person that keeps it real, with me and reminds me like why I do what I do and who to listen to and who not to listen to. And so sometimes when you hear it from your family, that it's just slightly different than someone who, can also tell me to knock it off, can say who cares what people think, and isn't afraid to be a straight shooter with you. So, everyone needs that person in their life, the people that champion them, the people that'll step up and tell them, the hard truth at times too. And, that's something that he did for me in some of those moments.
Coach, you've now had 13 Big 12 games, sitting tied with Iowa State at the top, 4 teams in the top 15 in the Big 12, and there's 5 teams that are all within 2 games of the lead. Now having had a good amount of experience in conference play, just what have been your impressions of the Big 12 and anything that's been surprising or maybe enlightening having been in the conference now for a little while?
I said this, when I got the job, what I was most excited about in terms of coaching in the Big 12. And, I'll tell you, it's the cool part about the Big 12, and if you're a women's basketball fan or a fan of basketball in general, there are so many different styles of play. And so preparing for teams, preparing for Iowa State is totally different than preparing for Oklahoma State, which is totally different from, preparing for Texas. And so you have teams, I would put Texas and Oklahoma State and West Virginia in one category because they're high pressure, denial, really play with a defensive mindset, a toughness mindset, you know, and then you have the skilled teams that shoot it and are very scout heavy, and in Iowa State and you know, Oklahoma's that way. You know, they stylistically, you know, I mean, obviously they have our number, you know, this year, and I hope we get them a third time, so that we can prove, you know, that we're as good or certainly better than them. But it's the styles. But I think people didn't realize like how good Kansas was. You know, and they're a team that, you know, I think, it was, you know, you went and barely won against them. Well, you know, we were in a different space mentally, and the game is very, very mental. Regardless of how talented you are, sports are very mental. So, you know, us getting over the hump against Kansas, you know, was a big deal for us. But I don't think what people realized at the time was how good they are. And, you know, they run a very pro-style system offensively. They move people around. They have a lot of really good sets. They have a lot of misdirection. You know, Brandon is doing an amazing job with that team. And, you know, it was great at Stephen F. before them, but it just took a little longer to get it going there. And so, you know, I think just the league, you know, the fact that the league is number 2 in the net, that's huge. I mean, this league, I'm not suggesting that there haven't always been good teams in this league or that the league was bad at any point, but this is by far the best the league has been top to bottom. If you look at probably the last 8 or 10 years in terms of, you know, the depth and the number of teams, you know, in the top 15 that are, you know, and the fact that the league's 2 in the net. I don't know the last time the Big 12 was even like within near any higher than like 4 or 5. So it's kudos to all the coaches in this league for building their programs and scheduling.
Waited till your first year to do it too, Coach. That was very nice of them.
Yeah, you know, just added a little more pressure. Is obviously Baylor's dominated the league, and then fan expectation is that's just what Baylor does, you know. And I think, but you know, when have you heard of Kansas being this good, and Oklahoma, and you know, certainly teams have had their runs in this league, but you know, from a consistent perspective, obviously Baylor's been at the top. West Virginia's been really solid, you know, but you know, it's not like Iowa State, you know, is ever not good. But you've seen Texas's up and downs over the years. And so, yeah, I mean, the league is good. I mean, the league is really good.
You were one of Ashley Hodge's many guest hosts on the post-game call-in show here in studio. You did a great job with that. I think maybe probably the best one he's had.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, your thoughts on the men right now, and look, they're in the teeth of their schedule as well, and that the Big 12 is unforgiving for everyone.
Yeah, unforgiving. You know, I think that's off to kind of the unneeded start, and again, the expectation coming off the losses that they have in terms of personnel from a year ago. Obviously, Scott and that staff have done a tremendous job, but as much as that, it's just weathering the injuries they've had, whether they were short-term injuries or looking at, you know, depth problems now with losing John for the season. Like, I just think they compete really hard, you know, and they're going to guard you, you know, and James is going to get people shots and be hard to guard. And so, you know, I mean, I just think what they've done following up on, you know, losing 4 key players and having all these guys in the NBA, like, this says a lot about, you know, their depth and their coaching and, you know, how they're going to be consistent over time, regardless of who comes and who goes. You know, they just have, I just think they expect to be good now, you know, so they're surprised when they don't win. And when you have that mentality, you're always going to be competitive.
Nikki, you have developed a relationship with the students, and that's not always been the case when it comes to the women's basketball program. How much has that kind of like brought something into your heart, that you've seen how they've reacted, but they've also seen how you have reached out to them and said, hey, we need you?
Well, I know part of the deal with women's basketball is it's not always perceived as cool. And, you know, students tend to do things that are cool. They tend to do things that their classmates are doing, you know, and you get some leaders and then you'll get some followers, and then they'll realize that it can be cool to come to a women's basketball game. And so, sometimes it's selling it the right way. And, you know, I just know that as much as I've been in sports, and I don't discount any person, however old they are or young they are, how they can help impact the game. I just know students bring a different energy. They bring a different, you know, just vibe to the building, and, you know, can change the trajectory of a game by being involved. And so it's just been really important to me to reach out to that group that, you know, it's not exactly like, sometimes I think like, hey, if you're in Dallas or you're at a school in LA, like there's a million things that students could be doing. But I feel like when you're in a college town, and I'm not sure Waco's considered a college town, but I feel like it's got some college town vibe. It's not like being in the Metroplex. So, you know, this idea of creating an environment as something that they want to do and something that they want to be a part of was really important to me. So just trying to make them feel a part, trying to make them feel like I care, you know, even if it's coming down to like investing in the t-shirt cost after the game, like, you know, what kid doesn't want $100, you know? So, you know, it is important to me, and it's important that, you know, our student athletes, our players are invested on campus, and they build some of those connections so that there's reasons for some of those students to come to the game outside of a free t-shirt, a free bucket hat, you know, or a potential $100 gift card.
Do you want to see Brittany Griner's jersey retired?
Absolutely.
Is that something you guys are working on behind the scenes?
It is. And I think timing was tough. And admittedly, like, I've been in touch with BG. I've been in touch with BG's agent, who I got to know pretty well through the W. And, you know, it's just a matter of doing it. You know, things have been, you know, there have been systems in place here, but it will get done. You know, we want to do it the right way and honor her the right way. And because she obviously has an unbelievable legacy here that we're really, really proud of.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Go get that dog. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
That's Nikki
All right,
Collin,
great.
Baylor women's basketball head coach. And the last thing she mentioned, Brandon, you put this up on YouTube, I had it down, was whether or not they would ever retire the jersey. There were different systems in place, different rules in place. And so that will be interesting. And also, there's still some give and take. And there was an article by, oh my Lord, Michelle Vopel on ESPN.com back in December. Brittany Griner hopes to erase distance from Baylor, see jersey retired. And with Nikki Collin, she had been in touch on occasion with Coach Mulkey, but that was, as you know, some friction and for reasons on both ends. That's interesting with her answer that she wants to see that jersey, and it will be retired at some point. Sick'em, 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, maybe used to be. As you get older, testosterone in your body can drop. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. So how do you know? Well, contact Petty Clinic, lowt.com, and on the top left-hand corner, email and phone number. Call them, tell them I sent you. And they'll set you up to get your blood work. Dr. Petty will see your results, and if your testosterone level is too low, he can put you in a program to help increase your sex drive, also help you with your sleep habits if they've struggled, and your energy if you become a little bit grumpy, lethargic, or just not the same. That's it. Petty Clinic, lowt.com.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% with 5,000 down cash or trade. TTN Electra, see dealer for details.
The New Year, New Ride sales event continues at Richard Carr. Find pre-owned deals like a 2015 GMC Acadia or a 2016 Honda Accord for $227 a month, or get a 2019 Ram Tradesman truck for $333 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. Get top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always the goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
The Cowboys, Paul, won Super Bowls 27, 28, and 30. What year do you remember, you were like 4, did they win Super Bowl 27? What was the season?
The season would have been 1992. Yes.
Okay, then 93, the Super Bowl 28, and then Super Bowl 30 would have been 95. So 95 is the last time they won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Now the game was in January or even maybe then, or even then early February, January.
Yeah.
So the Washington Commanders.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
And I do too. The Washington Commanders have won 3 Super Bowls. They've won a couple of other NFL championships. But look at this crest. This is something that they were going to put out. They can't even get this right. 1937, 1942, those are NFL, the Browns and others before Super Bowl. All right. 1983 was the year they lost to the Raiders in the Super Bowl, 38-9, Marcus Allen and all that.
Yeah.
1988, they did not win the Super Bowl.
No,
they won it.
The Giants did. Right?
Early that year in 88 in the Super Bowl. In 1992, that's the Cowboys year. They won their first Super Bowl in forever. They put the year of the game. Instead of, it should be 37, 42, 82, 87, Doug Williams, and 91, Mark Rippon.
Yes, that's absolutely what it should be. They also announced today, and this is, I got to tell, very big of this organization.
They can't do anything right.
This very big of the organization. They announced today that they will not conduct a separate investigation counter to the NFL's investigation.
That's nice of them.
That's very.
They've already done their investigation.
They're not gonna subversively attack the NFL's investigation with one of their own. So good for you, Washington.
And if you want to say, okay, why don't they just use the Roman numerals of Super Bowl 26, which was Washington's last? You're not allowed to. That's NFL intellectual property. Non-negotiable. And then again, 37 and 42, there was no Super Bowl, so it would look kind of funny anyway. So that's the Washington Football Commanders organization franchise. They cannot get anything. One high school note, Alan Hare, Salado. Remember, guys, when they played they played Conley 2 years ago. Remember that offense they run, that wing T? Ran it really well. Rook Brown is now at the University of Louisiana, Monroe. He has taken the job as the first coach at brand new Chaparral High School in Killeen. And they're about to run the football at Chaparral High School in Killeen.
That's a great guy to help start your program in Alan Hare, and a good system when you're starting out. You don't want to go right into the spread. You don't know he doesn't know the athletes he's going to have yet.
No, he doesn't, but he's going to run that offense. That's what he does. And I saw Curtis Quillen with that note from yesterday afternoon. Coming up next, sit back, get yourself some popcorn, buckle your seatbelts. A story about a man who's trying to make a comeback, and he's made one before, or two, or three. And we will get into Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, but also in the life of times of writer and author. He wrote Junction Boys. He wrote 12 Mighty Orphans. He is out of prison to tell his story. Jim Dent, next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, come by Let's Be Friends, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. And oh, by the way, those Wagoneers, the 2022 and the Series 2 and 3, 0% financing for 72 months. It was 2.9% earlier this week. Now, 0% financing for 72 months in the Wagoneer 2 and 3 Series at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. And on top of that, there's $1,500 bonus cash. And then on top of that, if you're a first responder, another $500. That's what they have. New cars, even more in the inventory. Pre-owned cars, which are hard to find, more in the inventory. Right there on the lot. Tell Ted Teague and others we said hello at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
This is your 54th District Judge, Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nitschke Group Insurance Agency. With the Nitschke Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nitschke Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nitschke Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Erie Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
I'm a mighty warrior! I am a mighty warrior. I never said it. Didn't believe it. Didn't believe in y'all and this team. I never believed in myself. But now I do. Now I know what that means. Because of all of you.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports on YouTube. Paul Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak. He's written some of the best books you'll ever read that have turned into great movies as well. The Junction Boys, 12 Mighty Orphans. He's the funniest man I know.
How much did I pay you?
He is an incredible writer and author and a friend and a bounce back. My God, Jim Dent joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. How are you doing, sir?
Smokey, friend means the most to me. You and I have been friends for a long time, brother. And I want to tell you this. This is the happiest I've been since Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys and started chasing every woman around that old oak tree. You are my friend, my mentor. I'm going to tell you something. I was gone for a long time, and I missed you dearly, and I am so happy to hear your voice.
Yeah, and I did listen to you doing a segment in Austin about what you're doing now, your journey, where you have been, what are you doing now. We could start with the story a couple of days ago on ESPN.com if you want. Did that surprise you in any way? And do you think Rich Dalrymple is a guy who's taking bullets for the organization?
Rich Dalrymple is totally innocent. I will tell you that for a fact. Because you've known that guy, and I've known that guy for so long. He is steady. Now, he's a little cocky. He's a little arrogant. But he is taking bullets for Jerry Jones. There's no question.
Jim,
and you know what, Smokey? That's sad. That is really, really sad because Dalrymple, 32 years, took the brunt of the Jones baloney. And as you know, my first book was about Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus, Jerry Jones is a dirty dog. And we've known that. We've seen him in training camp. We've seen him in action. And I'm just sorry that Dalrymple has to take the hit on this.
Jim, this is Paul Catalina. The story is very strange to me in that, and again, I'm sure that somebody saw Rich Dalrymple there, but of all the places he could walk into in that building, I mean, he knows it backwards and forwards. Like, that would be the last locker room he should ever even think to sneak into for any reason. And then the ridiculous story about Charlotte Jones had he been caught doing that, he would have been fired on the spot.
Hey, Paul, let me tell you something. What I have known about Rich Dalrymple is family man, good husband, good citizen. And again, Smokey, you know this. The guy's cocky. He's arrogant. Jones gave him some leash, probably paid him a lot of money. But come on, man. We know that Jones, he's at the heart of this problem. And I hate to speculate too far because I promised myself back in 1995 that I would never chase Jones again. But Jones is dirty, man. He's been chasing women since God knows who, all the way back to Little Rock. And I hate to see this about Dalrymple unless there is something I don't know, and it's not very often things I don't know. So let's just say that Dalrymple took the bad part of this thing.
How did that book, King of the Cowboys, how did that turn out, Jim?
You set me up on that question just quite well, Smokey. Jerry Jones bought all my books. He told me that in 2010. I sat down with him because I had dedicated my Super Bowl book to him. And I said, Jerry, a lot of people read my book, but I can't find anybody who really understood it. Jerry, did you buy all my books? And Jerry said, Jim, I did, and I warehoused them for you. 35,000 books, because I wrote about one, his womanizing, and two, how he cheated to get the money to buy the Cowboys. So, Jerry and I have a very interesting past. It goes back to Rose City, Arkansas, where we were both born. He wore 31. I wore 31. We had the same high school football coach. We know each other upside and down, backward and forward. And I'm going to tell you, when I saw the Dalrymple story, I said, man, come on, Jerry, let Dalrymple off the thing. Dalrymple doesn't deserve this. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Jim Dent, author, again, of the books I've mentioned. When did you finally get to watch 12 Mighty Orphans, since you wrote the book and then you were not around to watch it when it first was released?
Smokey, you are the nicest person I've ever met. I came out of prison on November 24th of last year, and it had been troubling me for some time. I've watched it 10 times, maybe 20. It is my baby. It's my best book. It's not going to be my best book forever. It is not my life story. It is not the one that is going to continue to make me. But I'm going to tell you this. These people who made this movie, they did a fabulous job. They didn't, I would have done it a little differently. I wrote the book, but dog, come on. They did a fantastic job. I cried all the way through it. I'm telling you, I cried all the way through it. But Smokey, they did a great job, and I highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and if you got some time, I think it's 99 cents right now. Watch it. It's good.
Jim, what did you feel about, I'm always curious when we have people who've written something that gets turned into a movie, when you get casting of Martin Sheen and Robert Duvall in the same movie alone, even though I know that Robert Duvall's kind of just a cameo, but Luke Wilson, the casting was really impeccable for the movie.
Paul, I think that this might be Martin Sheen's, no, not, I can't say this. It's one of Martin Sheen's best roles. He was Doc Hall. Luke Wilson was Rusty Russell. They did great. I wish they had added a couple of, there was a couple of things that were left out, but come on, man. I sold it to them. It's theirs. They can do what they want to, but Martin Sheen was brilliant in this movie as Doc Hall. So, you know what I want to do? I want to just see Martin Sheen and kiss him on the forehead. And it looks like I might get a shot at that about March 26th. They're about to have another screening, I think, just for me. So, let me go through a couple of things with you. I was in prison when this thing came out. I missed it. 6 months I sat on my bunk. And it hurt me. It hurt me because I should have been there. But all I kept thinking was this: they're making the movie. And when I got out and I watched it, I went down to my knees and said, thank you, God, for finally making this movie. I will always respect these people. Houston Hill got the funding. There's some terrific people involved in this. And guys, I'm sitting here right now getting very emotional, as you know. It was a great movie. It did us all a lot of good. And watch the movie on Amazon Prime. Get your kids with you, surround you, and watch this thing because it has a tremendous message to it. And it always will. And I'm very proud of the people who made the movie.
Jim, you've now alluded to the fact you were in prison and now you are a free man. I can't even imagine being incarcerated. Obviously, you've told your story before. And so how is each day right now? How do you go about every single day?
Well, let me back up just a second. I went to the Polonsky unit. And I lived with the killers for 5 years. It was a mistake. They sent me there. The warden called me in and said, we're moving you. And I said, no, you're not. I got more stories out of Polonsky than you can imagine. And the next book is called Diary of a Mad Writer. My life is good. Smokey, thanks for asking. I am writing the greatest book I've ever written because these guys saved my life when I got COVID in 2020. They brought me ice, they brought me water, they brought me Cokes, and these are killers, man. And I have a wonderful story to tell that people have never seen or heard of in prison. And yes, I'm ashamed I went to prison. But I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes you just need to go somewhere you don't want to go to find the story that is the essence of who you are. And going to prison was that for me. So, thank you for being so nice. Thank you for being so delicate, about that. But I did 7 years, buddy. I did 7 years, 5 at the toughest prison in Texas. I did 5 years at the San Quentin of Texas, which is where, by the way, death row is. I am a new man. I feel better.
Can I ask you?
I feel cathartic. I feel better. Thank you, Smokey. Okay.
I don't mind if you don't mind me asking a question, because I think our audience would love to know this as well. When you were on the run, you had a lot of things going down. When you finally were caught and you had to go to prison, this sounds like a stupid question. Was there a sense of, and I apologize if it is, was there any sense of relief, at least it could start your new beginning?
It was great relief, Smokey. You know it was. I was going to get caught. If I had gotten back, I spent a year in Mexico for the people who didn't know. And by the way, I played with a mariachi band in Mexico and had a freaking blast. But yes, I needed to get caught because they were going to get me when I was freaking 85 years old and put me in prison. And, I got through it. I did it. I excelled in what I did. I worked in the library. I worked in education. I taught kids how to write the essay to get their GED. It played out well. It did. It played out extremely well for me because I learned a lot about me, and I learned a lot about people, and I helped a lot of people when I was in prison. So by God, your question is right on.
You said earlier you're writing the best book you've ever written right now, which has to be a great. You want that feeling, kind of. You want the teams to know it. You're going to win every game you're going to play. But do you feel that because of the catharsis you're talking about, that you can finally spell out things that you never even thought you'd write about?
I think the revelations, Paul, are going to be very good. I think this is going to be a movie. And as arrogant as I am and as cocky as I am, I think it's going to be a damn good movie. But it's going to show to a lot of people the insides of what goes on in prison and what goes on in life and what happens when you fall. Man, I fell. And it's meaningful. This book, Diary of a Mad Writer, is meaningful. And I love it. I'm almost done with it. I wrote 177,000 words present. And of course, I've got to cut that down just a little bit. But it's going to be, I think it's the most important thing that maybe I'll ever write.
Jim Dent, again, award-winning writer. The different books that I've mentioned, and now the Diary of a Mad Writer as well. When some people, when they write, a lot of people who write, and you were a columnist and you were a beat, you've done all that. And a lot of times those are late nights because games, baseball, football, whatever, NBA. Do you write your best after midnight, or do you write your best at another time during the day?
I'm going to tell you this, Smokey. I was the best deadline writer, I think, in the history of Dallas. I mean, I could spin a story at 11:55 and have it done by midnight. When I was at the Herald, I was outstanding. Morning is when I write now. I mean, I get up at, man, it's 4:00 in the morning, and I start walking around the house, and I start stretching, and I get in my hot tub, and I drink coffee, and at 5:00, my brain is on fire, and I write all day, brother. It's changed. I always wanted to write books. I always did, even going back to when I was a kid, and I've shifted. But I think I was a good newspaper man, and I think some of the stuff I've written lately has just been killer.
If you had lunch and you could invite 3 former, living or not, writers in the Dallas and Fort Worth area to lunch with you, who would they be?
Well, it would be Randy Galloway.
Sure.
First of all, if I could bring back Dan Jenkins and Blackie Sherrod, they would be also. But I would put a 4th at the table to make it a table of 5, and that 5th would be David Smoak.
Yeah, Jim, thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Those are Hall of Famers, man.
Jim, what do you, I mean, you experience prison. I think a lot of people have a very black and white view of incarceration in America and what that means. It's a much more complicated spider web of issues than that. What would you want people to know about life as an incarcerated person, what it's like for different people inside, and what our prison system is really like?
Paul, I'm going to tell you this. I am not for letting the killers out. I'm just not. I've been around them. I know who they are. And I think they would probably kill again, most of these guys. But let me tell you something, what I know deep in my heart about these murderers and killers and people I've been around is that they are living life in prison as most people live in the free world. They are doing a good job. In fact, this is one of the most amazing things that I saw in prison and that I write about in Diary of a Mad Writer is that the guys who kill people are actually some of the best and the smartest in there. They know they're staying. They keep their boots shined. They go to work. They treat the day like it's an important day. They try to live life to the fullest. And by God, I don't want to say that this was a great experience for me, but it certainly showed me something. It showed me a lot about life. I'm glad I'm gone. I'm glad I'm out. I'm glad I'm away from there. But I'm going to tell you something. I learned a lot about humankind in there. These people turned out to be my friends. They did. And I learned a lot about dealing with different races because you have to when you're in prison. But overall, I think it was a good experience for me. I hope that it comes through in my book. But by God, I never want to go back there again.
Yeah, I imagine. Can you describe the feeling when you walked out the prison doors?
Well, the warden and the assistant warden were waiting for me, and they don't do that for many people. And they knew what it meant to me. And the warden said, Dent, you got to stop the bull shit. And I said, yes, sir, I do. I do. They're, you know, I don't want to go back, but I'm never, ever going to forget it. It was, you know, it's 7 years. At times it was horrible. Made a lot of friends. I've got some interesting stories in my book.
What's the time? What's the timeline in the book?
I would think next football season.
Okay. All right? It's great to hear your voice, man. Thank you for doing this for us, Jim. We appreciate your time telling your story, but also the story of many others, and then also just some insight on the Cowboys and Jerry.
Smokey, you mean a lot to me, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You mean a lot to me as well. I'm glad to hear your voice. I really am. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Jim Dent.
Okay.
Hall of Fame writer, Dallas Times-Herald, all the various places he'd worked. King of the Cowboys was about Jerry. The Mighty Mites.
That's hilarious that Jerry warehoused
12 Mighty Orphans. Huh?
That's hilarious that Jerry warehoused his book.
He warehoused it. The Junction Boys, of course, about A&M. The Undefeated about Oklahoma and the greatest winning streak in college football history, among many others. And, of course, some of those books, as he mentioned, movies, including The Junction Boys and also 12 Mighty Orphans. He was a part of the NFL, covered the NFL for a long, long time. He's a mess. But he's a friend, and it was good to hear and talk to him a couple of days ago and get this. I hope you enjoyed this segment. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Specials until 6 o'clock tonight and throughout the day tomorrow at Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Top sirloin steak, $5.99 a pound. T-bone steak and porterhouse steak, $7.99 a pound for the T-bone, $8.49 a pound for the porterhouse. They have fresh chicken breast for $2.99 a pound, and also 10% off all the barbecue. I say this every time, 10% off all the B&B charcoal for U2 barbecue. And guess what is here? Live crawfish. Yep, they have 30-pound sacks of live crawfish. Order by Wednesday by the end of the close of business that day, and you could pick it up anytime after 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday for your crawfish boil. Live crawfish, back at Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
I got this direct message from Baylor Nick. He's a great friend of the show. He loves the show. He's incredibly loyal to us. And this is a random thing about Major League Baseball. We are not getting baseball anytime soon. Smooth. This is direct to me. The owners have reduced their demands, but the players come back with nominal changes only. The owners have no incentive to compromise if the players refuse to negotiate in good faith. If I was at mediation, reduce my demand by 30%, but the other side only increases their offer by 5%, I would refuse to reduce further until they came back with more. Owners aren't dumb. This is the union that normally wins.
Yeah.
Compared to the NFL, PA.
But the last few collective bargaining agreements, it's fallen back. Plus the owners essentially have colluded to change free agency without the rules changing. And so there's a lot of things. I don't think that the overall money is necessarily, it is, especially for the guys at the lower end, is as big a deal as service time and is the time of getting to your big money. It's taking guys longer to get to their big money, and they have all these weird, crazy, bogus rules like arbitration or the service time stuff is really messed up where, hey, we're not going to pull Chris Bryant up until May 1st because then his service time clock doesn't start, even though the season starts on April 1st. So those 30 days really mean he's a rookie for 2 years when we're playing him for 128 games. It doesn't make any sense, and it's silly, but he couldn't win rookie of the year 2 years in a row because he's going to have more than 150 at bats or whatever it was. So there's all these weird things that they're doing that they need to fix. I probably would not ever be on the side of the owners in most negotiations because you're talking about billionaires versus millionaires. Like, I want the thing to work and there needs to be compromise, but I think the baseball owners they've put themselves in this position, and the players, while, they'll eventually negotiate in good faith, right now I'm on their side because, the owners put them in this spot. 100% the owners of the commissioner put them in this spot by refusing to deal with these things years ago when they knew it would come up now. They knew this was coming 5 years ago because when people started complaining about it, they said, well, we'll wait till collective bargaining. And they're like, why don't we fix it now?
Yeah, because negotiations, and I'm not a union person. I don't know if I've ever actually worked in anywhere where there was union. Now, I've worked with technical people who were a part of the union at certain events, whatever. But that's kind of the way it goes. They wait until the drop dead time. That's basically, you could do all this discussion. And I'm not saying there haven't been negotiations or settlements or whatever prior to that, but most of the time, let's just say it's March 15th. You wait until March 14th. You might get something done March 15th. And that's just, and all this other stuff up until that time means nothing. It's just chatter.
So like college football.
Yes. Yeah. There you go, because I was going to go back to the college football.
You're killing me here, buddy.
I'm part. I don't know what's happened there.
I
think my thigh got fat. What?
You keep, no, it's not
so
that.
So the college football playoff today, if you did not hear, Bill Hancock, who's the executive director, released an email. I got the email. Others got it. The writers got it. They're going to stick with 4 teams in the college football playoffs. like there have been since they started in 2014. They will remain at 4. There will not be expansion for the next 4 years. And now pick your sides. The alliance, and the alliance conferences were the only ones to vote against it.
Yep. And that's what this was for. This was not about, and I'll reiterate, this wasn't about getting Oregon versus Clemson. This wasn't about Ohio State versus USC in the regular season. That wasn't what this is about. Not at all. They said that so that people would be like, oh, this is kind of cool. It was never about that. Never once. It was about getting their, being able to vote together on an issue. And look, the thing is that the alliance didn't necessarily need to happen because the rules already had to be unanimous. The Big Ten didn't need them. The Big Ten just needed to vote by itself. The Big Ten, and I don't mean to, these are smart people, but the Big Ten roped in the ACC and the Pac-12 into this so that they wouldn't look like the only bad guy. So there wouldn't be 10 other conferences going, well, the Big Ten is just stupid and stubborn, which they have been for years. If you go back to Jim Delaney as the commissioner, this is the guy who fought against the playoff at all for the longest time. The longest time. So
it was beneath them.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible idea. It was not going to happen. And they weren't winning national titles in the time when he's fighting against it either. So all of this. And so then Gene Smith's going to take over and things are going to be different. It's not like switching political parties. It's not like going, from Clinton to Bush or Trump to Biden. It's not like that. The commissioners pick someone who stays in line, or the presidents stay in line with what they believe is a conference. Well, that's not going to really change all that much, and things will change, and maybe we'll get the 12-team playoff. But the Big Ten helped create the alliance so that they could get their way and not look like the only bad guy.
By choosing to remain at Heather Dinich, ESPN.com, by choosing to remain at 4 teams for 4 more years, 10 FBS conferences, and Notre Dame essentially forfeited roughly $450 million in potential revenue. I've always said the money was secondary, and this proves it. American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike Aresco, obviously we're foregoing that. We all know it. It's something you would have liked to have had because you could use a lot of that for student athletes' health, well-being, and other things. But the feeling was the most important thing was getting a format that everybody could agree on. And now they'll have to wait 4 more years. And who knows? It was about this. Really. 3. It was about this time plus 3 months, sometime in the late spring, early summer, when the story popped that was not supposed to get out yet, but they thought it was a done deal, right? Mm-hmm. Done deal. They're going to go to 12. Texas and Oklahoma was a story that popped, wasn't supposed to get out yet. And Texas A&M was trying to maybe create, hey, wait a minute, slow this down. It didn't. But who knows when they're eventually going to leave. Eventually, of course, 2025 would be illegally what they want to do. But that didn't quite work the same because I think most people thought that by this season coming up, for sure by 2023, Texas and Oklahoma, if not in January of this year, were gone. And the Big 12 reacted and found a way. What does this mean to the Big 12? Anything? Does it hurt them?
I think it's a little quick to say. Don't quite know just yet because this is just happening today. But for the Big 12, I don't think much changes. I think the only thing you probably worry about now is the fact that the contract for the playoff runs out at the exact same time you're going to be renegotiating your new TV deal. And right after the Big 10 and the Pac-12 have already negotiated their new TV deals. So that's a lot of money that networks are going to be ponying up to spend all in the same 2-year time frame, and you're last in line for those negotiations. So, I don't know what that means ultimately. You just hope you're not left out in the cold, that so much money is spent by Fox or ESPN or whoever on the playoff, and then whatever other conferences they may add, that, when time comes for the Big 12 to negotiate, there's we've only got this much money left because we've just done all of these other deals. That's what I would be worried about if I was the Big 12.
All right, on the text line from our good friend Tony Altimore, says, right now, ESPN's ignoring how much money's on the table with NFL-style bidding. It's about Fox getting to bid. Pac and Big Ten want more money with more bidders, and right now ESPN has exclusive bidding, and it's massively better for everybody, not the SEC, to wait. Which, look, I'm all for making it right. I just wonder, my question is, are they ever going to really come around? And so.
All right, here's an article in CBSSports.com from Dennis Dodge. This is how he started it. We're all owed an apology. All of us. The fans, the public, gosh, maybe even the unwashed media, who staked out countless hotel lobbies into the rush to learn about the college football playoff expansion. All of it netted, nothing, at least for now. Big T's. Waste of time.
Well, that's where they erred, was the whole coming out with the model to begin with. That was their bad. That was their bad for drumming up the excitement. There was discussions about the playoff and expansion, but when did it really take off? It took off when the officials themselves came out with their open proposals and were talking about expansion. That's when all the chatter really got going. And then to turn around months later, and it's just the same thing it's always been. I think, they kind of had a Texas OU moment. Except for they did it intentionally. Texas and OU thought they were going to be slick and slide out the back door without anybody really noticing, and then obviously an A&M reporter blows that whole thing up. And I think, here in this case, should have just said nothing. Should have said nothing about it, or say very little, but I wouldn't have put out the whole expansion looks like it's going to happen and drum up all that only to arrive at the exact same point. So I think that was a misstep in terms of creating some buzz, and not that it was intentionally to create some buzz. I think they just said it and were like, probably shouldn't have said that in hindsight. Yeah. Probably should have just backed off of talking about expansion, because there's too many differences. You have this voting block. As it was pointed out, the ACC was going to vote no anyway, so you didn't even need the Big Ten and the Pac. This alliance thing is so dumb, really, because you didn't even need all three of them. You just needed one.
Well, you need the reason that three of them did it was because they didn't want to all look like the bad guy.
The other two just said no because they already knew one of them was saying no. That was the only reason why. The only reason why the Big Ten and the Pac-12 basically just said no was because they already knew the ACC was saying no. So they didn't have to say anything. It's already done. ACC saying no, so it's not unanimous. So what are they going to do? Well, they're in an alliance. We'll side with our buddy because that's our alliance. And so, sure, we say no too. But the decision was already made by the ACC. So they knew that it wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, they, in a roundabout way, look like they're maintaining their alliance, but the decision was already made for them. The dumb move would have been to be like, well, no, we'll leave you out on an island by yourselves, and you'll be the only no vote because everybody else voted yes. They just stuck with their alliance, and the ACC was the driving force because everybody knew they were going to vote no, and so it was a done deal. And the Big Ten, the Pac-12 can look like they were, team ACC, even though it's just it was a formality really for them to say no.
And it has to be unanimous, is that right?
To change it midstream.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, when the new contract is up, it just has to be, 2/3, whatever the majority is. But
I got to tell you guys, though, man, playoff schmayoff, this is the least concern for college football right now. I know it's the big topic today, and we all want to see, or a lot of us would like to see, an expanded playoff. I know many people have arguments against it. They want to use this year as an example. Yes, this year is an example where, no, Georgia and Alabama were very clearly the best two teams. But I can point you to just a few years ago where TCU and Baylor both got left out in the cold, and I can make an argument that they might have gone in there and caused some noise.
Yep.
Especially TCU with the way that they were shaped up, and perhaps Baylor as well with the way that they were shaped up. But we'll never know. So, you can give me last year as, well, see, didn't matter last year. Well, that's last year. I can give you another few examples of where it would have mattered. So that's kind of dishonest, quite frankly, to use that one season as, we don't need to fix it. It's fine. See, there's no 6 and 7 team that would have come in and created any noise. And it's, I think people are kind of just stuck where they are and, refusing to budge. And I don't know how you get people to ultimately budge. I guess you won't for the next 3 years. You're just going to wait for this thing to run out, see where the landscape is at 2025 and where all these new conferences and their TV networks go and what the playoff money looks like, and then go from there. I mean, I think expansion is inevitable ultimately, but I'm not surprised we're not getting it right now. And quite frankly, again,
it's not the
biggest number one thing. I mean, it's really not. There are so many other things that are more damaging to college football potentially than the 14 playoff not going to 8 or 12.
The Division I Board of Directors directs the Division I Council to review impact of NIL on student athletes.
And so, but even though they're going to review
I know. That's just one. So in 2025, based on Brigham Young joining the Big 12 in 2023, whatever Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF can do, maybe even that summer, whatever Texas and Oklahoma eventually do, whenever they do, 23, 24, and 25. If you think it's been a hell of a roller coaster the last 12 months, my God.
Yeah.
It's gonna. And then the TV deals, as you mentioned. Now, Tony also mentioned this. The Big Ten and Pac-12 schools, in his opinion, are fine to eat the short-term loss for long-term massive gain. That comes from their own huge budgets and endowments. 4 years of the current situation's okay, Tony. It'll be so much more with open bidding.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. Again, that's why I'm not focusing on the playoff as like this big issue that college football folks have to figure out. I think we just, like, the folks that want it just want it now because it's what we want to see. Folks that don't want it, they're not going to probably change their opinion in the next 3 years. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I don't like the ESPN monopoly. I don't. I don't want them to have a monopoly, and they already kind of do to some extent. But I think it's good. Yeah, the open bidding should be great for everybody involved and should bring way more money in because you're going to have competitive networks, trying to outdo one another to get these rights. So, I mean, that should be a boon for everybody, you would think, here in the next 3 years. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff to sort through. And, again, Ross Dellinger had Mark Keenum says a new playoff format starting in 2026 must be agreed upon in the next 24 to 30 months by summer, fall of 2024. He says the presidents and commissioners will meet routinely to discuss. So we'll get a bunch of just nothing stories for the next 3 years. But, I mean, there's going to come a point where they can't just sit on the pot and expect everything to just land in their laps. They're going to have to actually do some work in the next 2 years, get a plan together that everybody can agree on, and make a bunch of money and figure this thing out. So they've given themselves more time, but at the same time, I don't want to look up in 3 years and then all go, we're stuck. We don't know what, let's not play this again.
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is they just need to, again, just be honest about it. Look, the ACC, their thing initially was, what happens about automatic qualifiers? Why we should be automatic. And you think when you ask the second question on that, it's like, well, how many times would that actually happen in a 12-team playoff where you wouldn't get somebody in for the league champion? That it would very rarely happen. What it's really about was, and maybe the better point of, let's get all the ducks in the row before we change it, and then we'll make more money. But that's not what they publicly said. It's like, look, we're not ready for it, but it's coming. That way we can all agree and not throw these things out. The thing you worry about is that in this time, who do you lose off of the let's expand bandwagon if some new idea comes up?
All right, Bruce Feldman, just among many of the analysts and writers, of course, columnists, 8 months ago, the leaders of the college football playoff were patting each other on the back about how its 12-team playoff proposal came together for the good of the game. And then here we are. Yet here we are after mounds of BS.
That's the thing. It's like there's just all this talking that goes absolutely nowhere. How many meetings have we talked about with these?
You know how I am about meetings, too.
No, I know, but how many meetings have these people had?
Oh.
And then the end result is a guy walks out to reporters and says, well, nothing's changed. And Bob Bowlesby says, we weren't even close. He said that 5 times now after meetings. He said it again today. Well, we weren't even close. So it's like it's like a dog and pony show almost because none of they all know they're not getting anywhere with this, but I mean, they keep meeting and maybe hoping things will change. I don't know, but it's funny, somebody put out, I think it was Reddit or something, and I don't know when the times were for these tweets exactly, but George Kliavkoff, I share the disappointment felt by many in college football today that we look forward to working collaboratively to deliver a playoff format that's more inclusive. And then you read, the other tweet, and it's Pac-12 voted against the playoff.
Yeah.
So it's just
so what did you know? But here's the thing they could have also done, which is I think what I'm more mad about is they could have said, look, we're not going to expand it right now.
Yeah.
But we tabled that months ago that we can't do that right now because the alliance is right. There's too many things we got to get worked out conference expansion wise and TV deal wise. But in 2026, here's the format, go. And then at least we have something to look forward to as opposed to 4 more years of meetings.
These guys can't take these fun trips.
They're still going to take them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Go sit in their 5-star hotels and meet for hours on end.
I was told that we will, in fact, it appears, I don't know what day, next week we'll have Bob Bowlesby join this show. That'll be fun and interesting. talk with him about many things and see what else, if he could say anything. He's been pretty vocal.
I know it's like the niche thing to do is to act like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't come to an agreement. You know, like that whole, I've never expected them to, based on all the things that we've heard. I didn't expect them to come to some sort of an agreement today. And I do think, again, there's more good news here than bad, just in terms of the network options and the fact that we're not just going to be slaves to ESPN, basically, with the new playoff format. Maybe we will get some others that join the fray, and I think that'll be good. I think that is healthier for college football overall. I don't think an ESPN-dominated league is more beneficial than having more options out there. So from that standpoint, it's a good thing. Time will tell on, what kind of money we're actually talking about. Some already know, like, they're safe and secure no matter what, like the SEC and the Big Ten. But I think there's a lot of questions for others out there with new deals coming up, even though the ACC's locked down for a while. So, not surprising. A little bit disappointing because you just wish they would just get to it and get it done and get it going. But obviously there's too many different opinions going on.
Kevin Warren, Big Ten Commissioner, Big Ten Conference, supports expansion of the college football playoff system to our student athletes. But, again, I trust that we'll continue to collectively address the unresolved matters. And it's not just one. There's a chunk of them. And move forward with expansion for the greater good of college football. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate all the text on that as well today, along with all the others we got today as well. Brandon, thank you very much. The chat room fired up today. We appreciate that. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
By the way, Kevin Gritton and I are doing, the owner of Champions, we're doing improv tonight and tomorrow night at Bear Arms Brewing. Go to Bear Arms Brewing website for information on those shows. I should have mentioned it yesterday, but tomorrow night you can come and see an improv show that we're doing there at Bear Arms Brewing. But top 5 things that we need to fix in sports right now. And I did this because of the news in college football today. It kind of made me think about it, like, this is half the stuff we talk about is stuff that they just need to fix, and it's silly, and it's bureaucracy, and it's dumb. Number 5, stop the ridiculous bid processes for hosting events like the Olympics, the World Cup, all of that. Let's pick 10 to 15 cities that these things can be in based on the facilities that are already there, the weather, because it's the summer or the Winter Olympics, and just reasonableness, and not go on this grift of like, look, the World Cup here in a few months is going to be in Qatar. There's no reason it should ever be in Qatar. That's silly. It was grift. It was corruption. There's people that died building. The World Cup will be played on the bodies of people who died building the stupid stadiums that it's going to be in. And that is unacceptable. That's a human rights violation that we just let FIFA do. We got to stop that.
I've always just liked the way the country sounds. But there
Qatar,
is...
but yeah, it's... They basically moved in slave labor from other countries in the Middle East and let them work their fingers to literally the bone until they died, and then just kept on going, like the railroads in the 1800s.
Oh, I'm doing it to your headset again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Back up.
So when you say that, though, like, for example, like Waco, they host certain things, regional tournaments. There's things you have to bid on.
Yeah, but there's not it's not sure there's probably in whatever things there's certain political grift that goes on, but not like the World Cup or the Olympics, which is just so corrupt it's ridiculous. Yeah. And I'll talk about the Olympics again in a second. Number 4, figure out what we're doing with college football. Let's just figure out. Let's put all the chips on the table.
You know my
figure out what we're doing. I'm talking about NIL, transfer portal, playoff, all of it.
Targeting.
What do we want to be as college football? Let's just get all that out in the open, and then when we can come to some sort of agreement on what we want to be as college football, let's move forward as that.
You two, go.
Yeah.
Do it.
I mean, they put Craig and I on the committee.
I would
give us unilateral power. We'll get some shit done. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm just
That's
saying.
twice today.
Yeah, so me and Jim Dent. But yeah. Number 3, let's get baseball going. Baseball, and Craig has said this a couple times, they're wasting the opportunity they have got some of the most exciting, young, marketable stars they've ever had, in years, all at the same time, and they're wasting it.
Yep, just wasting the prime of these guys' careers. But baseball thinks it's bulletproof. I'm convinced. I think the owners think that they must be bulletproof, or they just really don't care if the league craters at this point. I mean, it's one of the two. They either don't care if the league craters, or they just think that no matter what they do, that baseball is going to forever have a place. And I don't necessarily believe that. There will always be baseball fans. I'll always be one of them. But again, I've never seen just more of a, like, I don't know how you're an executive in baseball or a baseball owner and don't see how you're viewed right now by the large public. Like, the NFL is so far past you at this point, it's ridiculous. NBA is way more popular than you are at this stage. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see other sports.
Well, soccer is going to gaining on them, and will pass them. Like, it won't be any time relatively soon, but Craig, you and I will be sitting in old folks' homes wondering where we can find baseball games on our streaming, and soccer will be everywhere.
Yeah,
because the youth, the scales have tipped.
I mean, I've heard that for 20 years, though. Like, let me see that to believe that about soccer. I mean, I've literally been hearing that for like 20 years, that soccer is this up and coming. There's more youth playing, and yet there's been no change whatsoever. So
it's a numbers game. There's a bunch, millions. We understand it. But as far as popularity.
Well, and then translating into professional interest, too. Like, they could have 1 billion kids playing soccer, but if the U.S. citizen doesn't want to watch the Seattle Scourge or whatever, I came at what are they? The
Storm.
No, that's the WNBA team.
That's right. Sounders.
Yeah, Sounders. Like, I mean, if the Sounders, and they can have all the leagues and that can all be great and there's 1 billion people playing soccer, but if nobody's watching it, who cares? Like, you have to have people watching it and interested. And I don't feel like, even though every 4 years we pretend like America cares a lot about soccer, it's still very niche. It is. It's very niche. So maybe, with the way baseball's going, they do leave that door open to where a sport like soccer could pass them. But, I've heard that about soccer for so long. But yeah, baseball just, I don't know, man. They must think they're bulletproof, or the owners honestly don't care. Well, I don't know which one it is.
I just think it takes a long time. It takes 80 years of people playing that as their primary sport. So soccer still in the infancy of that. But I think when it becomes the primary sport and people stop playing baseball and playing soccer, I think that's the one that,
I read the direct message from Nick about it. And, here if I had to pick, football's now college football, NFL for me, and then Major League Baseball would always be 3.
Yeah.
But it is getting to a point, and you are right about, even I know some of the names of the younger stars, like I do. When I was younger, right? And it's sad that a lot of them are,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a delay in seeing them play this year, and if they play this year, I mean, that's just the thing. You go back. I know what time it is. If you go back to the strike and you saw the popularity wane after that, how do you possibly think it's going to go well this time? Do you have a bunch of steroid home run hitters that are waiting in the wings to come save your sport again? I don't think that you do. You have a bunch of great young players, but they need to be on the field to attract people, and not having them on the field, I think, is just it's a mistake. But
yeah, absolutely. Number 2, stop letting Russia run the IOC, for God's sakes. It's been 60 years. They keep doing the same thing, and the IOC keeps going, okay. And not only that, for 20 years we had Russia up against it. They didn't have Putin. We could have changed all the rules. Didn't.
Yeah. They're corrupt. They'll always be corrupt. They cheated every single Olympics, and we just keep giving them free passes because politics or whatever. The IOC is the most corrupt organization in all of sports, and I could care less about that organization or the Olympics. They waned my interest in the Olympics greatly as well.
I promise you, I've seen a couple of still photos of the Russian skater who fell, bobbled and fell. That's all I've seen. If it's been something that's been in front of me, there's a lot of reasons I'm not watching it, but for some reason I just put my foot down this year. And it's not because of the Russian skater. It's just because of the IOC in general.
Well, she's the latest in the long line.
Yeah.
And this is the saddest one because she's 15 and they completely used her to win a medal. Anyway.
To attempt to win a medal.
Yeah. But
she did win.
No, she was fourth.
Fourth.
She was fourth. Okay. And then got yelled at by her coach after, the whole world hates her for not trying hard enough. Way to go, Russia. Number 1, get a new owner in Washington.
Please.
Just get a new owner. Look, in NFL, you're having to do all these reports and investigations and all that. You know what will stop that? Get Dan Snyder out.
Yep, and you tell Dan, hey, we're getting rid of you, and guess what? Then you're going to find out who all is dirty in the NFL, because then people start telling on each other. And that's what they probably need too.
Grew up a Washington fan, never been less interested in them as an organization, and Dan Snyder's reason number 1. I don't want to support him. I don't like him. I don't know why he's so protected other than he's a billionaire, so he's just like every other billionaire where they get away with everything. But I want him gone as fast as possible, and yet here he is. So, yeah, I agree with you.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Emery, appreciate it. Thanks to Barbara Teague for some of the insight on her son Maceo, who joined us earlier today, and all of our other guests. Faith, thank you very much. Great to have you. Armstrong Sims, have a great weekend yourself. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, thanks to our amazing sponsors, those on the chat room and in the text. This is Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. I'm David Smoak. Good night. Have a great weekend.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.